Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing audio. Internet, how you doing? My name's Aaron LeBeau. I'm a developer advocate at Couchbase. My camera's off center. Buggers. We're gonna do a little Friday night stream here. See if I can fix the camera. Is that better? That's a little better. How y'all doing? It's Friday night, man. For those of you joining in, I hope you're having a great Friday. I'm doing some streaming. We'll see how this goes. Video quality not great tonight. I think I know why. I am currently taxing my computer with running a Windows 11 virtual machine on it. And I'm guessing if we go to activities, we'll probably find that I am taxing the turd out of this thing. Let's see what's going on here. See if that's what it is. We might have to turn that virtual machine off. System is at 20% of usage. Let's see who the killers. Windows 11, killing it, killing it, killing it. Yeah. The video quality not great. Not great because of that. Well, that tells me one thing. That tells me that using Parallels as Windows 11 to do some Windows 11 development, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all when you're streaming. So let's see if we can turn that off. Can I turn the Windows virtual machine off? Let's see if that worked. Let's take a look at it. Still bad. That should have closed it. Springboard. Why is Springboard choosing? That's Apple. Why is Springboard chewing up so much CPU? Huh. So I also have a virtual a physical piece of hardware that I'm running Windows on. Let me turn the music down a little bit here. I think we're getting a little drowned out here by the Streamlab music. I do like listen to some tunes when I code. But man, sometimes when it drowns out, that's a little bit too much for me. So let's see what the heck's going on here. So what the hell is going on with Springboard? I'm just gonna Google window open here. Let's see what people are saying. Springboard takes too much CPU. No, I'm on a Mac, not an iPhone. I mean, I can close Xcode and see if that's what's causing it. Close my simulators and see if close those down, see if that's going to help with it. Trying to see what my CPU is. Oh yeah, that did it. Okay, that's interesting. Obviously, OBS is going to kill some resources here, so that's fine. That's fine. Oh, video quality on the stream has improved greatly. Folks, if you're out there watching the stream, let me know in chat. What do you think? Video quality good or bad? I'm watching a little bit on the YouTubes here just to check and see if the video quality is bad, but it's looking decent on the YouTubes now. So what the heck am I doing, man? I hope you're having a great Friday if you're joining me here. I'm about to log back into this ARM box and show you some Windows stuff and also do some coding here. Just got to remember my password. Let's see here. You can't see it, but I'm remote desktoping into a ARM PC. So what the heck's an ARM PC? Microsoft made a development device last year. Did I close the Chrome? I closed the Chrome. Why would I close the Chrome? Let's see here. Wait, why is it saying it can't connect? Try again. It's called the Windows Development ARM Kit, 2023. And this little device could be yours for the very low price of $600. $600. A lot of ching, folks. You can buy a pretty decent Mac Mini for that price. Let's see what's going on here. Why my ARM device is not now working. Because it's not up. That'd be funny if it just broke. I mean, come on, Windows. Are you going to do this to me tonight? I was running some updates on it so we could show it off, but it's like it's not wanting to come back to life after a reboot. We'll give it a little bit of time here, I guess. But anyways, the Windows Windows Development Kit. It's an ARM device. It runs a Snapdragon processor. And my opinion is it is buku slow. It is kind of terrible. And it's got 32 gigabytes of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage. It says it's value. It has a lot of value. Well, I own one. And I can tell you that I don't 100% feel that that is 100% value for the price. If I was going to build some ARM stuff, I would buy a Mac Mini and use Parallels. And I was going to show you the performance of that and show you that that is a much better solution than buying one of these devices. A Mac, like any Mac Mini running Parallels, is going to run circles around this development device. And they're out of stock. I don't even know if they made any more of them. I think they sold the first batch, and I don't know. I don't work for Microsoft, but I have one here. I got it last year. I use it from time to time. Absolutely. So it's not like I just sit here and collects dust. In fact, I was just doing Windows updates on it because that's what you do when you own a Windows device. You do updates all the time. And it doesn't seem to want to come alive again. So how I do this is I use something called Remote Desktop to connect to it through the network. So I don't have to have a physical cable up to it. One second. Oh, crap. If I switch the video, it's going to kill the stream. I can't switch the video to picture-in-picture. I tried this during lunch stream, and yeah, Nick, you're right. Mac Minis are the best. I tried switching the camera during the lunch stream or my monitor just real quickly to picture-in-picture mode. It went very poorly. The stream dropped, and I had to restart the stream. I'm going to do what any person does in Windows when it doesn't work. I'm going to pull the power cable and plug it back in and see if that fixes it. It's very hot. It's a very small device that gets very warm. So I just rebooted it. It doesn't have any speakers or anything. It doesn't make chimes like a Mac. So it's really hard to know whether or not it's doing something or not. But let's see what happens here. We'll leave a ping run here for a little bit and see whether or not it starts to decide to come back to... Oh, okay, that's interesting. Update on the hardware here. We got a... boy, that Streamline music's still a little loud here. I had a flash light for a little bit, and then the light went off. I don't know what that means. Let's try it again. So what happens? Yes, it's like Intel Macs get warm. And the weird thing is this is not even an Intel processor in this thing. It's a ARM processor. So it's like a it's like an Android phone, basically. It's like a faster Android phone, basically, when it comes down to it. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Snapdragon processors or Android phones. I mean, Apple for several years shipped iPhones with Snapdragon processors in them at first, like up to what it was, iPhone 4 or 5, I think it was. They had them. So we can see here that the host is down, it's saying. So that's different than when you get, hey, I'm not answering. Like request timeout means not there. But this is more interesting because this says host timeout, which it's kind of interesting. So I think that it's the Windows devices decided to be a turd. Yeah, so it runs what do they call this? It's if you go to the tech specs here, they call it a Snapdragon 8CX Gen 3 compute platform. Compute. Fancy words, right? Fancy words for it's not a phone processor, but it's fast. It has an Arduino GPU from Qualcomm, and it is slow as turd. I don't think these... you're not playing Halo on this or any video games on this thing, to say the least. It does have Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.1. That's kind of cool. It's not Wi-Fi 6E, and I find that the Wi-Fi is pretty slow on it, comparatively speaking to my Mac hardware, but it's okay. It does have a embedded chip in it so that it does encryption, so that's good. Keeps the encryption going. If you're a Windows fanboy, or if you're just looking to compile your code on ARM and you hate Mac, it's not a bad device. If you or anybody else, it's probably not for you. And I'm not just sure how many people are doing ARM embedded development in Windows. So I'm not sure if that device is... Yeah, see, it just turned itself off again. Obviously, it's sick. And I don't have a secondary monitor hooked up to it. I use my big 49-inch monitor that I'm currently streaming my Mac on to talk to it in picture-in-picture mode. But the problem is, like I said, if I put it in picture-in-picture mode, it kills the stream for some reason. And I'm not sure why the monitor signal sent into the Mac causes this freakiness to happen. But I don't want to kill the stream, so we're not going to do that. So I think the ARM device is dead until I get off the stream and go look at it and see why it's broken. And that is a big bummer because that's one of the things I wanted to do tonight was to take a look at that. Oh, well, I guess we'll write some code. Let's see here. Wait, what? Oh, this is, I was doing some Ninja in here to try to fix something. All right, let's see here. Let's clear this out. The other thing I don't like about ARM PC is that hardly none of the software is made for it. So everything's running in x86 mode. It's an emulation mode, and it's slow. It's very slow. You are not. You will lose days and hours. You know what? Yeah, I mean, M1 Mac Mini is great. You get an M1 Mini with a decent amount of RAM in it, and you're fine. You're just fine. And honestly, I ran Parallels on a little tiny Mac Mini for quite a while, actually, because I needed to get some Windows stuff done. And I have a Windows gaming PC over there I could remote desktop into if I had to. It doesn't have, actually, it does have all the latest dev tools on it. Decisions, right? Can I talk to it? Do I have it configured? Let me check here. Do I have configured to talk to it? I actually do have it configured to talk to it. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. We'll boot up the gaming PC and see if we can remote desktop into it and do some stuff with that. We will spend less than a couple minutes on this. If it doesn't work, we will we'll just do it on the Mac. Oh, it's alive. It boots up very fast. It is a very expensive PC. This is a little shocking. I have not planned this at all, so I'm not sure what's going to happen. You may see things you're not supposed to see. I may have to switch away real quick. That's always exciting, right? There's nothing really special on this thing. It's just it's a PC that I also play video games on when I do have time to play video games. So you'll see here my Battle.net account's coming up. I probably shouldn't show that on stream. I don't want people trying to hack me or anything like that. So let's get rid of that. Close Battle.net out. I still play some World of Warcraft from time to time. It's a great game. Sure, I guess. Razer Context, what are you doing here? Let's see here. Do we have... Let's check the Visual Studio installer real quick and make sure I have Visual Studio bits on here. See, everything always requires a damn update. Let's see how fast that goes real quick. Everything requires a damn update. Do I have GitHub on here? I do have the GitHub desktop app. Perfect. Let me see here. Let's take a look here at... I do play Skyrim too. Let's see here. So I do have... Let's copy that location. Because we're going to want to put our code there. So let's go get a repository. Let's find my github.com repositories. And let's clone the project I've been working on. Let's see. .NET inventory. That should be it. We're going to instead say we want to clone it to here. And that should do it. We should have bits. We've got code. We've got code downloading. It is like the PS5, Nick. It's like, man, every time you boot up Windows, it's like there's a... And I bet you anything... I literally use this computer all the time. I bet you anything if I go into like settings, there's like 100 updates to download and install. Maybe not. My OneDrive, I changed credit card companies. I got rid of the Wells Fargo. I don't like them. And so my OneDrive subscription was like, hey, we declined your payment. It's like, yeah, because I don't have that credit card anymore because I hate Wells Fargo. They're turds. All right, here we go. Defender updates. I don't care about Defender updates. All right. Hey, look at that. That was pretty fast, actually. Look at that. We're at 1783. Let's check and see if that actually works. Shit, it's launching. All right, man. Hey, we could be in business here. How's the quality of the windows coming across here? Let me just check here. I'm always very concerned about video quality. Let's see here. The stream's always a little bit behind. I'm looking to see whether or not the video quality is it really washed out when I do this. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, you're going to get compression no matter what, right? That's just the way streaming works. Looking at YouTube, at least, it's not too bad. It's actually not bad for what I need. It's actually good. So let's see here. Let's open a project or solution, and we're gonna go find our development folder. Dev folder. No. Why would this be in here? That's the wrong folder. There we go. Let's open this up and see if this works. I haven't done this yet in Windows, so honestly, I'm about to be as surprised as you are. I'm in the same boat as you are. First time I've seen this. Most people run the Windows solution bar on the right. I like it on the left. It looks like Xcode then. And since I'm more of a Mac developer than Win developer, I feel like it's the same thing. Let's see here. So you see here, we've got these are all of our things that are telling us what the hell's going on in the world. Let's see what Visual Studio says is going on here. Let's first check a couple things real quick here before we get too serious about this. I got to make sure that, oh geez, this UI is already really different. Where's my extensions at? How do I get my... It's been so long since I've had to use Visual Studio full time. manage extensions. Do I, please tell me I have, please tell me I have Vim installed. I have Vim installed. Okay, I can actually type in. I had to check if I have VS Vim installed. If I don't have VS Vim installed, I can't. I have no ability to type. Let's see here. So we were working on app shell here specifically. Let's bring this down. Let's take a look here. That's code's way too small to read. Oh boy. So we're gonna have to figure out how do we zoom in on code in Visual Studio. Okay, that's not gonna do it. There we go. All right, that is hopefully readable on this stream. Stream, how's the code? Can you read it? It's clear. Okay, let's see here. Well, shit. Now we got to get word wrap working. Why isn't word wrap working? Word wrap should be enabled by default on all IDEs. If you're not enabling word wrap, you're a jerk. Word wrap's installed. Turn it back on. Okay. There we go. It must be because I zoomed in and the Visual Studio wasn't smart enough to word wrap it. Okay. So let's see here. We know that we got, so in Windows land here, anytime we see padding here and we have WinUI, that is Windows. So in our vertical stack, we've got this header at the top. And so this is our flyout template for our header. And so by theory, this should tell us that we have 200 pixels of padding on the bottom, right? This would be left, top, right, bottom. And let's see here. So on Windows, we're also saying the font should be, we had to do this on the frame in order to get the frame with it or with the label in it. Okay, I do remember this from the lunch stream. Let's try just running this puppy and see what happens in Windows. I've never ran it here before. I've been developing on Catalyst. No, computer says no. That's great. The project needs to be deployed before we can debug. Please enable deploy in the configuration menu. What the shit does that even mean, you Windows? Really? Really? Do I hit this button? Wow. Okay. Okay. Sure. Be a jerk. Configuration manager. Build, deploy. Why is that not checked? That's super weird, right? In Windows, in Maui, this was checked, but look. And here I had to check the deploy box. Let's cross our fingers. I'm crossing my fingers. I got both fingers crossed here. Cross my eyes too and see what happens. Oh, for frick's sakes. Well, this is why you build on Windows, and then now you try to figure out. This works, by the way, in on Mac. So this is not 100% terribly shocking, but also just a little bit frustrating. So Android, wait, what? Okay, this is in my shared library. Let's see what the hell's going on here. So services in Windows. Why is Windows not loading? I'm on a Windows machine. Well, first, that should have been moved over here. Why is this not loading Windows? I mean, I'm on Windows 11. Windows 11 is Windows 10, 0, 22, 631. That is the version of Windows. Okay. Let's make sure. Build 22, 631. Yes. So even though they call it Windows 11, it's still the Windows 10 kernel. It's just a fancy GUI on top of Windows, if you didn't know that. So I'm saying that as long as I am greater than this version, which I am, I should work. That's right. Why would it? Let me unload project. Then let me reload the project. I have no idea why that directory is not. I get the Mac because the compiler should be like, hey, I don't know what to do, right? But this is astronomically odd. Well, this would be honestly, this would be MP shared, multi-platform shared. I mean, I would save that. Why is Shell mad too? Got weird squiggly lines in Shell. Where is the squigglies? Oh, Visual Studio is so much harder than Writer. Okay, let's do the thing that all .NET developers do. We build one at a time. So let's build this. I didn't tell you to open. Why are you opening the CS project file? I didn't do that. I just clicked on the project. Does it just open the project file now by default? Oh boy. I feel like a fish out of water. I haven't used Visual Studio. Hey, TBD Gamer. I haven't used Visual Studio in a super long time. Years. And I mean, I use it every now and then to test some stuff at work. So obviously I haven't installed it and stuff, but it's not like it's my daily driver. Why are we getting where it doesn't want to load the Windows folder in my shared project though? That seems super stupid. Windows targets. Let's take a look at this shit. Pardon my French, but man, this is buggily frustrating. We'll target Windows 10. We're not targeting Tigen. Tigen's a waste of time. That should be right. Okay, so let's just do this. Let's just delete it. There's nothing in it. Remove. Yeah. Go to hell. Let's add in one. Windows. And then what we need to do is we need to take this service and move it over to here. And so let's start with this then. It's got to be named window when UI. That's right. This is probably going to fail. All right, that's going to fail because of the fact that there's a schema to naming these files. So what happens is, so let me explain how this is working here. Let me explain where the problems are. So this is something called a shared project. It's something new in .NET where you can have all the platforms like Android, Windows, Mac, Catalyst, all of them could be in one project. But you have to follow some rules, and you set up the rules. And so I've set up the rules, and how you do that's kind of in your CS project file. Okay. And so I've got some rules here that I've got set up, and you'll see here, this allows me to build both one file for both Catalyst and Mac. So Mac, Catalyst, and iOS. So anything that has Mac, iOS in the file name here in this pattern, it will automatically assume that's for Mac OS or iOS, and that way I only have to write one implementation. It's a massive time saver because Foundation, just remember, Foundation, the Cocoa framework for Mac OS is the same for iOS as it is for Mac OS. The UI rendering kit's different, right? So if we have in Mac, AppKit is the native library, and then you have UIKit on iOS. And of course, Swift UI does both, right? But if we go back to native land here, that's what .NET's using, then technically speaking, if Foundation's the same on both of them, you can write the code once, just like you can in Swift, and have it work on both platforms. And so that's why I have this Mac iOS, because I don't want to write the code twice, once for Mac and one for iOS. That's stupid. Now, if I need very specific code for Mac Catalyst, like if I need to talk to Mac hardware, then I just label the file with Mac Catalyst, and that'll work. But in here, I have a rule that says Windows. So that means if the file name doesn't have .windows in it, it won't work. So we need to rename this. It needs to be database seed service Windows. And so that should tell the, now see the red squiggly line went away because now it should know that I only build that for Windows, and it should build with all the Windows crap then, and it shouldn't break. We're gonna cross our fingers here. It's still mad about some stuff here. How do I fix this? Yeah. Okay, so put that in. Boy. Ryder would have just freaking put this in for me already. Using directive is unnecessary. Well, no, you just told me it was necessary. Now you're telling me it's not necessary? And it won't let me paste there. Oh, this is turning into a shit show already, and we're not even 10 minutes in to using Windows. I can't paste. Really? Paste is not Control V. What are you doing, Windows? Windows is not Control V? Holy, but what? Wow. All right, so that's not working. So it's good. I bet you anything it's going to make me put a reference in for Windows. But why would it do that? Quick actions. System Windows. This works over here. I mean, so I'm missing a reference. So let's look at the references we got going on here. Is it because Windows is here? Is Windows not loading here? Windows is right there, man. So why are you doing me dirty like this then? If yeah, save. Shouldn't need to do this. It should just know Windows. I mean, it works up there. Clean. I've been on Windows for less than 10 minutes and I'm already frustrated. Get rid of there. .NET shared. Well, these are all, okay, these are all Android errors though. Why would these be Android errors? You'll see here, it's saying for Android. Or is it just saying all the platforms? It's saying all the platforms because it doesn't know any better. Duplicate compile items were included. The .NET includes compile items for your project directed by default. That would mean that when I moved it, it didn't properly put it in. Let's take a look and see what it's doing here. Boy, Visual Studio. Yep, here we are. We have item group, Windows, and then Windows again. Because Visual Studio. It should be this instead. It should just be include folder services. You shouldn't have to do this by hand. Why am I having to do this by hand? That's terrible. It should be this. It should be services, Android. It should be services, iOS, Mac Catalyst, Mac, Mac, iOS. Like that? No. Lowercase I, capital O, capital S. That's what it should have wrote. Editing CS proj files by hand. Boy, does this bring back the old days of most of you probably don't know. Before I did a lot of mobile stuff, I worked on Windows for years, being a .NET developer. And so I worked in Visual Studio for years, and that fixed it. There we go. Let's build. So most of my knowledge of .NET is because I used to write .NET for years, probably 2005 until 2015. I mean, well, I did Xamarin for years at EY, so I mean, I never really stopped doing .NET. But really, primarily my development platform, at least for APIs especially, until about 2017 or 2018. I mean, I wrote APIs, but we also at EY wrote a lot of Java stuff, and there was some Node stuff too. So it wasn't primary platform after that. But for several years, I used Windows many years I used Windows on a daily basis and Visual Studio. But I have turned over to the dark side. In mobile, most of the time I try to use native platforms when I can. And I am a big fan of Xcode and Writer and Android Studio. Once you learn them, they work on all the platforms the same way, which is really nice. So let me see. I'm going to try building just a shared library to start out with and see if that works. Because we need to fix things one at a time here. So I think that's going to work. So then that means we got to kill this. And get rid of this also because we won't need that anymore. And then this is probably going to be pissed off where we do our... No, it shouldn't, because it should know the database seed service is there because it should be a single class. Why does it say there's an error in here? Not available. It's because of Windows. So, okay, I can explain this. We got a... Boy. This is not great. When you just like click on a thing that opens a CS proj file, it's a pretty shitty experience, Microsoft. It's like I didn't... You don't necessarily want to do that. So here's what's going on. The target for MP shared. So this stands for multi-platform share. The target for that is going to be different than here. See, this one's targeting 1941. If they're not the same, this will break. Whatever you have in one, you have to have in the other. So that's what's going on right now. It's a target problem. The problem is if I target 1941, which I guess I could, you are leaving some Windows people out in the cold. Although 1941 is probably the most, I'd say the last version of Windows 10 I would personally use, because it's got all these stuff for Hyper-V in it. And I think that's the only version of that terminal runs in, like the new terminal program they have, which honestly is pretty sweet. If you are using Windows, you should be using the terminal program. Where is it? Because it gives you like all the different terminals you could ever want. So like if you want Linux, you can run Linux. Gives you your Azure shell and all that kind of stuff. It's actually, I mean, this is pretty sweet for a terminal on Windows. It's pretty good. So for that, you definitely want to. Nick, I just noticed you're actually on not on Twitch, you're on YouTube. I didn't realize that until I just looked over and realized, wait a minute, he's in YouTube chat, not Twitch chat. I always thought you were a Twitch guy, Nick. They should fix it. So if we have both of these pointing to 19041, the DLL that's created will be the same. What the hell's a DLL? I should probably also explain that if you're not a Windows person. Let's see if that works. That should get rid of the nasty error here. And it, wait, still thinking about it. Still thinking about it. It's still green. No, it's still gonna give me. Database seed service. All of them are available, but Windows. Oh, because it's named wrong. Oh, I'm an idiot. I haven't tested on Windows yet. So, of course, I have typos. I wrote all the code and then made an assumption that sure it'll work. I'm a developer, it'll work, right? I don't make mistakes. Yeah, I do. I make mistakes all the time. So that's obviously a problem is that I switched the way I was going to do this along the way. At first, I was going to use partial classes, but then I decided that that wasn't necessarily the brightest thing to do. So I was like, well, wait a minute. I know what I'll do differently. I'll just make this, I'll use the naming thing instead. So now the problem is that it doesn't have the right namespace. So let's just make sure this is right. But really, it needs to be the namespace for me is .NET, CB Lite, inventory, MP shared. Services. Oop, and then this using can go away. And let's see here. Save that. Bring that. Yep, we want to save it. Then we want to build. That should build the deal. Okay, so what am I talking about here? If you're new to Windows, you can get some knowledge from me here. All right. So this is what we call a library. It's kind of like a framework. And if you're over in the land of the Swift, and this is very similar to like a jar file in Java native development, right? So this shared code here will compile into what they call a DLL, a dynamically linked library. And then what happens is I can reference this DLL in other projects. So usually this is good. A DLL is going to just be a bunch of shared code that you can use in multiple programs. And then this is going to be my mobile application right here. You already had it open. Well, that makes sense. So we're going to just try building this now. And the problem that we're running into is that the Maui Windows, for Windows, it doesn't see this class. It's saying, hey, this is not available, but it's available for everything else. Well, when I change this code, it doesn't necessarily know about that until you try to build. It's not going to know that I changed code over here, so this code is fixed. And so usually this is one of those things that just kind of sucks is that you have to know like what to change where in order to get the builds to do what they are supposed to do. Not the world's greatest developer experience, I'll be honest, right? But I mean, once you get used to it, if you know Windows, then you know how to do it. So there is ability to see the build, what's going on here. Where's the view build? At least I haven't been away from Visual Studio that long. There should be a ability to see the build view. Where's the build status output? Yeah, this should give us the build output. So you'll see here, this is giving us like all the nitty gritty stuff that it's doing. And now it worked. So here's the great thing. Even though it's giving me a squiggly line, it's working. Oh, Jesus, is that an atrocity? Oh, God, does that look terrible? What is wrong with you, Windows? Wow. So my button's not working. Wow. Ugh. That's ugly. Oh, shit. Well, pack a lunch, kids. It's going to be a while. So let's try to unpack this pile of turd. What the? Are you serious? It looks pretty decent on a Mac. And you're telling me this is what it's going to look like on Windows? Oh, look, the button works this time. It didn't work last time. Let's click login. Okay. That menu's wrong. The shell menu is half cut off on my selection. The menu up here looks terrible. Why is the word projects up here? Because the title is set. That must be a Windows thing. Oh, that's gnarly. And this hamburger menu icon. Oh. Okay, well, I mean, kind of working. Why is this cut off though? Can we slide out to get the menu? I'm not a Windows user. I'm not a full-time Windows user. I do prefer Mac. I play Windows. I told you guys earlier. I play games on Windows. Is it often necessary to ask Windows what is wrong with you? Yes, it is. It is. In my world, it is at least. Because, I mean, I only play video games on Windows these days. I don't really use it for development full time anymore. And I haven't in many, many years. So, one, that looks terrible. Like my background of my image, it is all pixelated and stuff. It's an SVG file, for cripe's sakes. There should be no pixelation in this whatsoever. So that tells me the Maui process that takes the SVG and turns it into so there's a process in Maui that takes an SVG file and turns it into an image. Okay. So in that process, it must, I don't know if you can customize it to tell how big to make the image or what it does, but I mean, it's a PNG. I know that. But it looks like hot garbage. The button actually looks okay. I mean, it's too big. It takes up the whole screen. And so do the boxes here. I wanted these to take a lot less space. So I guess we can start tearing this turd apart by trying to customize the UI a little bit. So let's go look at that and see if we can't make login look halfway damn decent on Windows. So let's see here. So here's our image button. Oh, it's saying it's Couchbase PNG. Why would there be Couchbase SVG? Oh, I think you put it in as a SVG, and then it converts it into a PNG. So you call it PNG even though it converts it, and it's supposed to convert it to whatever size we say to convert it to here. I mean, that looks like hot garbage here. So let's change that to be something much less like. Let's change it to the same size as Android. Let's see. I mean, you can run Android applications on Windows now. I would. Oh, Nick. Okay, you're back on Twitch. That's a good idea. I think Twitch chat's better as a chat client than YouTube. I have more users on YouTube that watch my crap on afterward than any other platform I stream on. I'm telling you right now, YouTube folks, if you're watching on video on demand, thank you for watching. It is the amount of people. I mean, on stream, I've had streams with like over 600 people that have watched it on video on demand, and I think they. I talked to my boss about this, try to figure out like why do people do this. And my understanding is they do it because they can fast forward the video. They can run it at 2x speed or 1.5x speed, so they can just basically kind of snipe the stream to look for the beats of information they're looking for. Like if they're trying to learn something in .NET, they can just kind of watch the video faster than watching me live, where you see me in real time, right? So that. I guess if you're doing that, that's my understanding, YouTube people, why you do this, and that's why you watch on video on demand. Good for you, man. Your time's valuable. I'm not going to pick on you for that. That's cool. However, geez, oh, Pete, we got to do something here. So let's figure this out. Let's tear this apart of what the hell we have going on here. So it's supposedly in Windows also, they give you like a ability to see the UI. You should be able to have a previewer here, right? Do we have a view markup? They give you the. How do we get the UI previewer? I mean, this is Windows, right? You should have a Windows. Do they not have like a previewer? Like a XAML previewer? I don't see one. I guess maybe they don't. There used to be a tool years ago for WPF development called what the hell it is. It still comes in Visual Studio. Where is it? God, Windows, you're so confusing. I used it several years ago for doing WPF. What's it called? Is it still Expression? Is that what it's called? I guess maybe they don't include it anymore. I don't see it. There used to be a designer, like Expression Designer or something like that. They used to come with Windows for doing XAML code. But I don't even see it anymore in the installer. I guess it doesn't come anymore. Blend, that's what it is. Here it is, blend. So blend used to be a tool that you could use, and if you're at XAML code, it would give you like an editor for editing it. And for years, if you were like a designer, you could go in here and design stuff for XAML. I haven't used Blend in years, but oh geez, now it's making me sign in and shit. I don't know. That's probably not good. You're signed into Visual Studio, getting ready. I don't think you'd use Blend for this though. We'll try it. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, let's wait. Let's go back to here and see if we can just look at this from like a. So at least over here we can close like stacks and stuff to try to figure out what we have going on here. So we got a grid. Inside the grid for login, we're doing a vertical stack layout. I don't know why I did that. And so we're centering. So this vertical stack will probably have the image button and the two entries and then a button. I don't need the grid. The grid's just a waste of a container. Okay, I'm not sure why I had grid in there. Wait. That's complaining for no wrong reason whatsoever. All right, what's oh boy, how do I tell it to? But I haven't used Visual Studio in a really long time. I'm like, I've started to realize like I don't know the keyboard shortcut to tell it to redo the code, to clean up the code. Like to reformat code. It must be in here somewhere. Let's see. How do I reformat code? Advanced. How do I format? Shift Alt F. That rolls right off the tongue. Nope. Shift Alt F. Dismiss. Okay. That's going to be confusing to remember. I should probably keyboard shortcut bind that to a different. All right, so let's see here. So we got rid of that. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference, though. All that's going to do is make it so that we have an extra container in there. And every container you put in, it's like putting a view in iOS. It costs you memory and performance then. We should be able to see... Do they have the explode view like in Windows or in Mac? I guess they don't have the explode view. That just allows you to pinpoint like a certain item and it'll tell you what it is. Yeah. So we still have this too big. So let's see here. We want to be able to say. I guess we could do it here like this and say, what is it, one UI. So this will give us the padding of 300 pixels on the left and right, right? So that shrinks it down a little bit, right? Makes it so it's not so big. We go big E full screen. I mean, that's not so bad. But really, I hate doing pixel. I like doing percentage. We have to assume somebody's got at least a laptop that has like 1300 resolution, right? I mean, nobody's running 1280 by 720p anymore, are they? I guess I don't know Windows platform that well. Maybe people are running resolution. I keep forgetting like Macs have really nice Retina displays, but in Windows land, I bet you there are still people running like, you know, crappier laptop displays. So I shouldn't make that too big. All right, so login view looks a little bit better already. Now we got problems that the shelf flyout is cutting off. Of course, this thing is still complaining even though it's building. It's like saying, I can't find it, but yet you just built. You obviously are working, otherwise you wouldn't build. So I wonder if I just close Visual Studio, reopen it, if that'll fix that. Let's just go try to open it and see what happens. Let's also check on Blend. What's Blend doing? Okay, that's cool. Blend is syncing to Visual Studio. So this is what I remember from WPF days. And then you would get the Solutions Explorer, and then you'd be able to see which files had designs in them that you could do. Maybe this does work. Let's try this. Let's log in if you do for me in Blend. That's not what I expected. I expected the designer. Yeah, there would be an option up here for the designer here. And I don't see the designer at all. So, okay, I'm going to assume Blend does not work with Maui. Let's give Visual Studio back open. And open this back up. Preparing solution. There are a couple things I do like in Visual Studio that I wish Rider had. So one of the things is, like, if you're in a class, I shouldn't poo-poo over all this because there's certain things that I do like. Right here is your method. So every one of your methods, you can just pull this down to get to the method. And let me tell you, like this, I miss this greatly. Visual Studio for Mac had this, and I miss these pull downs. If you have multiple classes in a file, you can select whichever one you want. Now this is supposed to say for Windows, it will tell you like all the IntelliSense for Windows for that platform. And as you select the platform on this pull down list, it'll tell you what's going on for each one. I mean, I do really think that that's a cool navigation feature in code to be able to just select your methods real quickly. And I know that other IDEs do this differently with like class browsers and stuff like that. But this quick pull down, that's pretty attractive. It's pretty hot. Visual Studio, like Stacy's mom, you got it going on from that standpoint. So let's see here. So we know login view is looking, I mean, not great, but I mean, it's passable. It's passable. But really, the shell menu is getting cut off. So that's on selection. So let's go look here and see if we can find my selection code. So the same thing would happen here. Like we should be able to go in and see, here's all the different things going on here. So we know that that is the item template. So if I go to that, this will give me the code for the item template, which is actually kind of nice. So if you think about it, I know that I mean, I know my code, right? So I know this is the header. I know these are the different individual flyout items. And then we have one menu item. Now remember, the difference between a flyout and a menu item is a menu item doesn't have a view routing to it, where a flyout item does. The logout in our menu just runs some code. It doesn't have a like a route to go to a view of some sort. So that's why we have 3 flyout menu items and 1 menu item. But the menu template and the item template tell them how to render. And so what should happen is that there should be a visual state here for the selection. So when something gets selected right here. So this is what's going wrong. So in the visual state right here selected, it's saying background color, make it these colors, depending on the theme. But the problem is the visual state for selection is getting cut off. And so this would select background color. Why is this happening? Our row spacing, column spacing is not it. Ah ha 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 ha. Look at this crap. Column definition of auto. Autobots roll out. I think this is what's killing Win UI. Auto doesn't work well. Oh boy. And we should have 2 columns. So this is saying for the first column, make it auto. And the second column, take the rest of the space. So we have 2 column definitions, right? And if we think about it, let's look at the application so we can explain this and understand why this is happening the way it's happening. Because you're probably looking at that code going, shit, I have no idea what the hell Aaron's talking about. What is he? If you don't know XAML, this doesn't make sense. Let me try to make sense out of this to you. Okay, what happens is we have two columns on this menu right here. One column, the icon's drawing in, and the other column, the name's drawing in. So this is one column, this is the second column. This is one column where the icon is, this is the second column. This is one column, this is the second column. That is for this part of the screen, which is the template that we're looking at. This is the header up here, so we don't care about this because that's the header drawing. So in the flyout item template, these three items right here are flyout items. This one's a menu item. So in this template, we're running into the problem where this is getting cut off. Well, the reason why is the first column set to auto, and the second one set to take the rest of the space. What I think is happening is it's getting confused, and it doesn't realize that this is the rest of the column. And so this extra space here, it's not taking up because it doesn't know how to calculate it properly. So this is actually space that's wasted inside of the flyout. That's my guess. Okay. So my guess is in WinUI, we have to tell the image to be a certain size instead of auto so that it will force the calculation for the rest of the space. That's my educated guess on why this is happening. So we're going to make the image should take up whatever space we tell it to take. And we're saying right now to take a height of 16, which means it'd be, if it's going to be a standard icon, if we say that its height request is 16 pixels, these are font awesome. So it's not guaranteed that they're perfect squares or rectangles, right? So we're not guaranteed that they're going to be 16 down, right? They could be 20 down, they could be 22 down, 24 down. So we're looking at the width versus height. Now that's a height request. The width is going to do a ratio, right? So the width could be smaller or it could be larger. 54 is quite large. That would give us some spacing, and I think that's what I'm doing on Mac or iOS and Android. So I'm trying to add enough width there so that there's a space between the image icon and the words without having to put padding in. That's my guess. I don't remember what I did yesterday, why I did the spacing like that, but that'd be my educated guess of why I did it. I actually did that on Wednesday night. Let's see here. So we're still cut off. If we make it biggie, we're still cut off. Selection is right here. So if you look here, when I hover over, the selection is right. It's just when it draws the color here, it's getting cut off. Interesting. That's a big old bummer. It is a really big bummer that that's doing that. Well, I knew Windows would be a little bit finicky. I just didn't think it would be this kind of rendering problems. I should ask Brad on Twitter. There's a guy I follow, Brad, on Twitter. He's pretty cool, and he's been using Maui for a desktop application. I should catch up with him. He's from Australia, though, so I'm sure he's sleeping right now. Or maybe he's just getting up at Saturday morning there. I should ask him what kind of things he ran into with WinUI versus... I know he told... he had posted on Twitter at one point in time, he found that Catalyst was way easier to develop for, and I wholeheartedly agree with him on that. So this is where you can kind of resize the app, so you can say, run like this one over here and this one over here. This is if your app supports that, which is kind of cool. I think that's also kind of neat. Wish macOS had something. I think it does that, but it doesn't do it as slick as this. I have a tool that I use on macOS to make the windows automatically go the way they want. So this background on the image also is bugging the turd out of me. But that's about it on Windows. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not great. It's actually, it's not good. I'm not a big fan of Windows. Not like this. I mean, I don't know. If I was, I'd almost want to just use this on Android on Windows, than Windows. because you're in Android apps on Windows. So let's see here. That's the login view that has the image rendered issue. Let's see here, login view. What time is it? I'm yawning already. It's only 9:30. I get up super early because my development team I work with is in Poland. So even though it's only 9:30 my time, it's been a pretty long day. Let's see here. Let's go look at our image again. Image button here. So its background should be set to. Where's our background color here? Oh, it's in the theme, I bet. Yeah, it would be in the style file. So let's go take a look at that. So you can see here, this are all the styles for the application in Maui. And it's kind of like well, I don't want to say it's like a CSS file. Yeah, Nick, I know. Time zones. Ugh. The styles that XAML file is similar to a CSS file. It gives you the ability to set styles on different components. So let's go through. Actually, we can just use this to find all the different styles. This pull-down list is kind of nice, right? So you could just say, oh, I'm looking for a navigation page. Oh, boy. That is becoming a problem to fight. Let's see. Let's go look at navigation page, I guess. And this would be the theming for it then, right? So what it's saying is that the bar background color, the bar color is here. The icon color is... So I can tell you this is wrong already because the navigation icon is red in .NET right now. It's taking the primary color, not the... Or in Windows. Right here, it says to take the navigation page. This is the bar at the top. So this would be the icon color on the top. This would be the bar on the top's background color. It's not doing that because I noticed that right away that the hamburger menu icon is red instead of white like the rest of the platforms. 1 second. Let me log in. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. That's the icon right there. So you can see this icon here. Notice that's red. That opens navigation. But the problem is when I theme it here, I'm saying that it's white. And so on the rest of the platform, it's listed to me. But on Windows, it's not. So we could try to prove this. Let's go to theme. How do we turn dark mode? Okay, watch your eyes. Oh, the blinding light, my lord. For all of you that just went blind, I'm so sorry. But we've got to test this. We got to find out if the icon color changes based on dark versus light mode. See, it's still red. It's still using primary. And you can see here it's still cutting off the selection. Huh. So it's red on both. So I'm guessing that on WinUI, this is not the same property. This is on Mac Catalyst. Let me just double check on Mac Catalyst, make sure. I think I have Writer open. This is dangerous to run it on two different platforms, but let's go here. Oops, I didn't want to run it on, I guess it doesn't matter. I didn't want to run it on iPad, but I guess we'll run it on iPad to see. We'll check over on Mac here. Now, the problem is I have code changes in Windows, right? So I need to sync those code changes to get and then pull them down on the Mac. Otherwise, I won't see those code changes. Although the code changes were only to fix Windows, so I guess on Mac it really doesn't matter. But I just want to validate that I'm not lying in that when I said that. But I'm 99% sure that that's what's going on. So then we got to go look at the docs to try to figure out, like, on the title bar, what the theme is for that. Do we have a title bar? Let's see here. frame, indicator border. Tabs and navigation page. That should be the navigation because the it brings up the flyout menu. Right here, shell. Let's see what it has here also. So shell in general has title color. I don't remember putting all these in. I think I just read the docs for some of this. We might have to look up and see if shell's got a property that we can set for icon color. And that may be what's going on here. Because shell controls the navigation menu. It very well could be a shell issue. Let's go check out Rider. What's Rider doing? Got a green checkbox. Incompatible device selected, it said. What? Here's our Mac version of the app. Already looking hotter than the Windows version. And I'm building this using Microsoft technology. Yeah, see up here, see the icon in the upper right hand corner is white. And notice that, look at that. That is silky smooth. All there are the right colors. I know it does not look like a native Mac application, but that's what Catalyst gets you, baby. It's an iPad application running on a Mac. But I mean, the theory is that here's the navigation bar at the top here, right? So this is in iOS. This would be a UI navigation controller. This is the button that brings up the split view, right? This is UI split view, and that is working right. And so the theming is working on the Mac, just not working right on Windows. And I have a problem where I can't use iPhones on this because of multi-platform. I figured that out, that's what's going on here. It's a multi-platform thing. I talked about this in the lunch stream today. I know why it's happening. I just don't know how to fix it. What's happening is if I go to configure this and I go look at here, it's starting the wrong project. It's basically, I told it to build Maui, but what it's doing is it's looking at, oh boy, how to explain this? So in the world of iOS native, before we had SwiftUI, right? In the project for a application, you're going to have something called info plist. Okay, so let's go look at platform iOS. Info plist. In info plist, we have a UI device family. And this says whether or not you can run an iPad and iPhone and stuff. So one is iPhone, two is iPad. So what happens is if the IDE reads it, doesn't find the info plist file, it's just going to not know which devices to allow the simulator to run on. And so that's exactly what's happening here, right? Now that tells me that the IDE is not reading in the info plist file properly. Well, there is no info plist in the shared project. This is a multi-platform shared project where I have shared code that I could use between multiple mobile apps. And so what I believe has happened is that's what's going on. In fact, I could just load a default application without a shared project to prove that, hey, the simulators still show up, which would be that's what's going on. Once again, how do I know this? Because I've been doing .NET a long time, and it's just, that's got to be it. I mean, I can prove it, actually. And I probably need to put a ticket in with the JetBrains folks. Actually, I'll prove it. All we have to do is go into Rider here and start a new Maui application, just a default Maui application. So we'll just say new solution. We'll say we want a Maui 1. That looks great. Let's put it in a different spot, though, so that we don't kill my current app. Let's put it in developer, open here, say make our Maui 1 app. And what should happen is out of the box, the iPhone should be allowed because there's no multi-platform. There's only one info plist. And out of the box, the info plist should allow for both platforms in the Maui template. It should have both device families here, right? which means now if I were to switch this over to iOS and take a look, there's all my iPhones, which is exactly what I thought would happen, right? And so it makes very much sense that what's happening is that the multi-platform, because I have more than one project in my solution, that's what's busting it. And so this is a bug within Rider itself. Now, Rider in this release came out with an option that allows you to run multiple projects at the same time. And I believe that that's where the bug's happening, is that they have this ability to run multiple projects, but it doesn't know which project in Maui to read the UI device family from. So instead I get this, I can't select the iPhones. I only can select iPads BS, which stinks. Tooling is the bane of developers' existence. Since the day of the invention of the IDE, we have to always weigh the benefits of all the things it does for us versus hinders from us, and see whether or not it makes sense to use one. I mean, that's how the Skittles go. So that's something I have to. I posted on Twitter to one of the people from JetBrains on this, explained to him that's what was going on, or I thought that's what was going on, and it turns out I was kind of right on that. So let's see here. We know that shell here. We got a title color here, and a foreground and a background. We've got a navigation has shadow or not, and that should be kind of cool because that should give us on the sidebar on the split view shadow is my a drop shadow. I mean that may look cool, but what I don't see here is I see the tab bar. Well, that's for tabs only. That's not for the shell navigation menu. Let's see if we can look this up. Oh God, light mode, it sucks. Guys, I gotta switch this back to dark mode. I'm gonna burn your all retinas out, and then you guys are gonna like me anymore. That's not cool. Now let's say window Maui .net shell flyout menu icon color. How do we set this in the style? Here we go. Shell foreground and make it. Wait, what? Shell foreground should be for text. Foreground is usually for text, not for icons. Shell foreground. Well, shit. Yeah, they're saying it right here. Actually, this is what I need right here. So let's take a look here. So it's shell foreground color. Yeah, we should be able to just. I don't recommend developers cut and paste from Stack Overflow. This seems like it could be a resume updating event. That's an event that causes you to update your resume, as I like to call it. Know what your code does. If you're gonna borrow from, I switched Xcode back to dark mode. Good thing, Nick. It's your eyes deserve dark mode. I'm sorry. There it is. That fixed it. And that's no longer red now. And it's got a little animation on it. Look at that. I didn't notice that until now. Look at that. Windows is giving us animations. I mean, okay, it's not all that bad. It's giving us animations. How can we not enjoy that? All right, well, that fixed the icon at least. That was gonna make me extremely frustrated. So now we get this image button background. So this is, I think, an image button on login view. So let's try to fix as many Windows things as we can while we're here. So it's an image button. So that says we got to go look at the styles file again, our friend style and see what we got for image button versus a page. So image button. Here we go. And we got transparent for border color, border width radius, common states. So this is saying that it doesn't have any background color by default. Obviously, we're getting background color from somewhere. Login view. We're not setting it here. And I don't even think we're setting the background color at all on this page. We're taking defaults. Which I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind. The tint of gray that it uses is perfectly comfortable for me. I don't think that's pure black. I think that that's a shade of black. I don't think that's... This is definitely a shade. And that's where the problem's coming in. Oh. That's it. We got to disable the mouse over on the image button. That's what's going on. It's a freaking the selector to tell you that it's a button that you can click on. All right. Well, now we know what to look for. Maui. This image button. Disable color for selection. Hey, let's go to the docs. Docs, how do we change this freaking color for the hover over? I don't care about that. We know about events. That's fine. We don't care about that. We care about the... we also don't care about the visual state. But that's cool. Oh, come on. I don't want to do this. I know how to... I know a workaround for this, and I hate it. So one thing I could do is I could make it a regular image, and I could put a tap gesture recognizer on over it, around it, and so that if you tap on it, that causes an event to fire. So that's a workaround for the image button to get around like the selection stuff, because if it was a regular image, it shouldn't have the selection stuff. The image button, my guess is acting like a URL link, right? If you hover over a URL link in HTML, it gives you a hover over, right? It brings a line up and it can change color and those kind of things. That's what I believe is going on. I believe there should be a property on that image button that we can change. But the problem is I don't know what property it is. So if I, let's look at Ask Visual Studio, what it has available to it. Now we could say background color transparent. And that's another fix for this. Let's go look in. I'm just grocery shopping through the list of properties on this thing to see if something stands out to me of something that would possibly fix this. This is what we call period looking in development, is where we hit the period and we see what's available. And we go, it's probably that, right? You don't have to necessarily know the API. You just have to know how to use the period in your IDE. And then you can just kind of look for something that looks like it should probably fix your problem. And if you're a smart enough developer, you can guess pretty good at what's going on, right? If you've doing it long enough. So let's do transparent to start out with. Let's see if we could put a transparent background color on it. Right. It should be background color. Okay. Let's see if we can hack ourselves a solution in here. Nick did that today. Yeah, I do it every day, man. What are you talking about? Just today? I did that 20 minutes ago or 2 hours ago. Oh shit! I forgot what I was doing here. I was looking for there it is. It fixed it. So we turned the background color to transparent, and that fixed that problem. Although I'm noticing now, I can't tell if that's my eyes. Am I just getting too tired? It's acting like there's a box right here. Y'all see that on the stream? Can you tell if there's like a little box right here that's kind of behind the username box? I really wish task detached. Nice, nice, Nick, nice. Okay, I think that Windows is getting better. Not perfect, but getting better. It's just a sample application, right? I mean, I'm not trying to break the bank here. But that selection thing's bugging the shit out of me. The problem is I'm not really sure I'm gonna be able to fix it without doing some kind of custom renderer. So I have a feeling this is more of a renderer problem than anything else. Because the selection doesn't give you a lot of options in the visual state. I know that from experience. Let me just check logo to make sure we don't have an extra container in here somewhere. So let's see here. We have an image button, 2 entries, and a button. And if we have an error message, we show that. And if not, we don't. And then we just have some padding and spacing. And just in case the view is really small, we have a scroll view that allows the whole thing to scroll. And that's it. I don't see any visual items there that'd be causing that. I'm going to chalk logout view looking good enough for me to say that I'm willing to accept that that is a good V1 version. I'm not willing to say that the app shell I'm 100% happy with on the selection here. So let's see here. What options do we really have at our disposal? So let's take a look at this is the file header, but we need to look at the actual item template. Right here is our items. I keep forgetting I can just pull this down. Writers does not have this. Writer should have this because this makes life way easier. Here's our item template. All right, let's take a look here. Why are we? Saying because it's a template, you can't make it a pointer that you can. So if you put a key in there on a XAML thing, when it serializes it, it makes a pointer for it in the code behind file. So for every XAML file, for every XML file, there's a C# file behind it. And anything that you have, you put a name in, you can then use inside the C# file. So that's the theory. So when you want to get a pointer to something so you can talk to it, like say, for example, this grid, if I need to do something with this grid, I could just make a name for it, put a pointer to it, and then I could talk to it in C#, which is kind of nice. Because remember, all this XML is just really serialized into C# objects when the compiler runs and the page comes up. Or it shouldn't say the compiler, the .NET VM that runs, that just-in-time compiles this. So let's see here. So we know that this is the visual state selection right here. And so what we're saying is that on a grid, there is a visual state called selected. And this is what's busting us right here. So that would go back to the grid sizing, though. And this is an item template. Okay, now the interesting part is, one second here. I think I already know this. I think I remember looking at this, and the hover over doesn't have the same problem. It's only the selected item that's got the problem. See, hover over is working just fine for all three. Notice that also logo is not lined up to the same. The padding's different between the two of them just by a hair. I just realized that now. So the templates are different. So that would mean that the template we have here is not working the same way on the item as it is on the menu. What did we do different here? We're saying win 50 for the row spacing. What are we saying here for menu? Oh, this is probably what's causing it right here. Column definition for the icon when it's still set auto here, and on here we're doing 16. No, we're not doing that. Column definition, not the. Where's the column definition on this? We're doing 54 on Windows. So we got to match that. Otherwise, these two things will get out of sync. You have to make a separate template. It's kind of stupid, but so I'll fix that problem. Save that. So the issue is the selected item we could ask the where's wait, is the chat GTP built? We probably can get a plugin for this. What am I thinking here? Extensions. Nope. I want extensions. How do I get manage extensions? GitHub Copilot. It says it's installed. It says once I close Visual Studio, it will be available. Let's close and reopen it. And we'll ask the Copilot, our GitHub Copilot, what the heck's going on with this? It's installed. So far, Visual Studio, here comes the updates. Yeah. So far, Visual Studio, I guess, crabby old guy. First-hand experiences. I'm used to riders, so of course everything feels foreign to me. But once you get in it, it's kind of like riding a bike. You kind of get used to it again. I really do miss the ability to have the selection up here, so you can like select the methods and stuff. And the fact that you can't do that here in Rider kind of stinks. It doesn't have that pull-down menu that Visual Studio has. I guess I've gotten used to the JetBrains IDEs not having that. Now, they do have a class browser. Where the hell is the class browser? And that's what I think you're supposed to use. There's so many. Is this it? Nope. They have a browser that you can use. Maybe it's this. Okay, wait. Is this what I think it is? Oh, it says it's only Android. But wait a minute. If this is what I think it is, this is badass awesome. If this allows me to explode views like I can in Xcode, I'm all for that. But there should be a browser in here. View. Where is my... Okay, let's close this. I want to try that in Android real quick. But what's under tool window? Let's see here. I thought there was a class browser built into this. Explorer. That's intermediate language viewer. Is it in the structure? Yeah, this is it. Here it is. This is what they recommend you use. I just couldn't remember it. But yeah, so this will give you kind of like a structured where you can see all the items structured out. And so if you want, you can kind of just go to this view and you can see the classes, right? So if you were to close this class out, for example, yep, it is giving me that. That's badass cool. So if I were to go into like a class, let's go into Well, I guess it really doesn't matter. My program. And then if we were going to the structure, this should give us all the method names. So that's how they're doing it. Instead of a pull down menu, they give you the ability to see it over here in this structured view. Yeah, I mean, it's different, but it works. It does the same thing. But this is badass cool. So this is Logcat over here. And this has given us the ability to see all of our views just like we can in Xcode. That is so freaking cool that that Rider supports this. So now we can see how many views are inside of our, look at how many views get created. So if we look at this, Maui is very inefficient because if you look here, we've got a view here. So look at this. This is what it's created natively, Maui. So if we look here, we've got a navigation layout content that makes a content view group, that makes a Maui scroll view, that makes a content group view, that makes another layout group view, another layout group view. And then here's our different actual text boxes and stuff. Look at how many containers we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 containers deep to basically be able to get to our component. Now, why does that really matter? Well, if you got a craptastic Samsung phone like this phone right here, this is one of the Samsung A series phones. You can buy them from Best Buy as a burner phone for about $100. They have the slowest processor in the world. And when you try to get your app running fast on one of these shitastically bad Android phones, they're slow as hell. And if you get this many views deep, or you get into like where your nested view is really bad, scrolling becomes a problem on Android, specifically these burner phones. I know this from experience. So this is an unfortunate lesson I've had in the past. That's actually quite a few layouts deep, container-wise. That's a lot of containers just to get to a container that actually has your UI elements on it. Now, this view isn't designed to be scrolled, so it's not a huge deal. Even though I have a scroll view on it, it's only if you have a small device. If this was like a list view, this is called a recycler view in Android native land, or obviously in Jetpack Compose, we could just build a list view. In those platforms, if we had this many containers and stuff, we would have to start worrying about refresh, drawing when we refresh, and stuttering. So it's something I'd be concerned about. But at least with this, it's actually, at least in Rider here, this is pretty badass awesome. That it's given us this in Android. It doesn't give us the ability to do this in Xcode, and Xcode has the same option. If you're an iOS developer, you should know how to use this in Xcode. And if you don't, you need to learn that because it's a massively cool thing that you can do. So the layout inspector built into Rider, I know that I use this in native land, but I didn't realize that Rider had it available also for, well, duh, why wouldn't it? I mean, Android Studio is really Rider when it comes down to it. It's a JetBrains IDE. So, of course, they're probably just using the same stuff they use for Android Studio. I feel like a moron right now. Now that I say that, I'm like, wow, of course. Duh. Why wouldn't it have that? That's really cool. And so I ran the app here so we can just close it. This will stop the debugger from working. Oops. Click out. Get out. All right, so that's cool. That we have the ability to do the inspector here. We can stop it. Let's stop our debugger from running. So I guess Rider does have the similar navigation. It's just in a different way, but it's very similar to Visual Studio. I do like that menu though. So let's go back to Copilot. So we're going to ask Copilot. We were stalling. I was stalling for Copilot to install because I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I thought it'd be entertaining while Copilot was installing itself and go look at something in Rider. Let's see here. Let's go back and bring our thing up and see if we can get this working before we end this stream. Let's see if we can get the selection working. Now, I know that a couple other people in Dev Club usually stream on Friday nights. So I don't want to bust into other people's live streams. I know, I think, what do you call it, starts at about 10:30. So I don't want to go into friends' stream time here because I want to probably go watch their stream for a little bit too before I go to bed. So we'll see if somebody else jumps on. I don't know if Peter's going to jump on tonight or somebody else, but if somebody else jumps on tonight and streams, I will chill out for a while and go watch them. But let's see here. While I'm on, I might as well try to do some things here. So let's see here. We were gonna ask chat, not GTP, but GitHub Copilot. So let's find extensions. How do we get the ability to see this damn thing? Tools. Not there. View. Okay, so AWS. So it'd be over here. So why isn't it not? It's just gray. Why is it gray? I bet you have to go into the not here. I bet you it's under tools and options. I bet you have to log in. Yeah. That's going to be what it is. Yep. I mean, oh, okay, it says it's there. How do I turn it on then? I don't see a button for it. Let's see here. Let's go to the button, add and remove buttons to see if I can find one. I don't see a button here for it. Customize. GitHub. Android. iOS. Extensions menus. No GitHub. Makaka button. Oh, here we go. GitHub. Oh, that's just Git. That's not GitHub. That's Git. And if I look here, it's closed. It's like gray. Why is GitHub Copilot chat grayed out? Okay. Disable the enable globally button and then restart. What? Looks like there's some kind of button, but I don't even see the damn button. Is there a button I'm missing down here? This is your Git crap. So many changes. Oh, right here. Sign into GitHub. It's right there. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Add GitHub account. Okay. I may have to do this over here. You may have to look at the Mac for a little bit. I want to make sure if there's any security stuff, it doesn't get put out to the internet. Of course, you're going to want my mobile phone. Good Lord, are you serious? Shit. My phone's also my camera. 1 second here. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my phone off my webcam so I can get the stupid mobile code. Oh, that was easy. Now the camera's not working. What the hell's going on here? see if that works. Can y'all see me again? All right. We're back. Sorry about that. I use my iPhone. So I've got a webcam, but it looks like turd. And so I just started using my iPhone for a camera, and it works freaking great. All right. So it says that I have to log in. So I did that. And Cloud chat. Here we are. Sweet. Let's move it over to the other side, though. I like it over here instead. Okay. In .NET Maui, how do I fix an issue with when UI where the grid visual state for selection is background color is getting cut off without rendering the entire row. I mean, that's what's going on, right? You think notify streams? Yeah, I thought somebody streams on Fridays. I'm pretty sure somebody streams on Fridays. I just can never remember the stream schedule. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a jerk. I haven't watched streams in a couple weeks because I've been too busy. I actually thought a couple people. I know Peter doesn't stream on Fridays. I think Notify was doing games the last time I watched it. He was doing a couple different things with Swift UI. That was really cool, if I remember right. All right. In .NET Maui with WinUI, the issue your experience is where the grid visual state selection background is getting cut off without might be due to the default style setting for the data grid. One way to fix this is by overriding the default style of your data grid row. You can do this in your XAML by doing the following. All right, so let's see here. Data grid row template. What's it saying here? Oh boy. Yeah, it's well, I haven't watched it in a little bit. I try to go back and forth with this. So look at this. This is really interesting. So they're saying, boy, this is pretty intense. So let's see if we can peel back the layers. They're saying in here, make a storyboard, and then the storyboard do a color animation. Okay. But they're also saying here, make a rectangle, a background rectangle to the background color. And that target name would be this, right? So it's basically saying, make a rectangle here, filling for this background color. So this would fill to the background, right? So we just have to understand how to read XAML, right? So what we're saying here is that this color animation is going to target this definition right here, which is basically saying a rectangle. Then it's saying bind this to the background property of the selected, okay? And then what you're saying here is this is where we're saying we're saying here the target property would be rectangle fill, and then we're giving it a solid, I'm assuming. Yep, so a solid brush color. And then what we're saying here, this would be the color. Okay. Well, the good news is that the color is the same on light mode as it is dark mode. So I don't need a platform overrider for app theme binding. So what I should be able to do, according to this, I'm just reading this, is right here. It's after the visual state groups. They're saying to make this. Okay. See if we understand this right. If this fixes it, I'm going to be ridiculously impressed because this is something I will have never figured out without reading a ton of documentation. I understand what the code's doing, but like to know that this is like what to fix it. I mean, this will make me extremely happy and impressed. So let's see here. So we're saying selected. But then what's saying, instead of the visual state setters here, where we have it here, right? Well, I guess we are changing the selection color a little bit. But we can actually just take this right here. Let's just take this code. So let's So do we have a setter in here? We don't have a setter here at all. So we're going to say visual state setter. We're going to comment this code out. This is how we do that in why wouldn't that allow me? Oh, wait. It would be here that we'd comment it out. Wait, you can comment Sammy code out? Can you not comment out code inside of a bracket like this? All right, well, let's grab this and see what happens here. So we're gonna grab this storyboard through here. Copy that. See if we can paste it in. Visual Studio Paste sucks. Nope, there it goes. So it is working. It's just slow. Let's paste because the paste isn't normal. And it didn't paste in. Control Z to get back. I want this line of code right here. Copy. Paste. There we go. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take this value here. See where it says your color? That's where we're going to put this in. Right here. Oh, God. The fact that Control V doesn't paste in Visual Studio is downright insulting. What are you doing, Visual Studio? It's like the default for every freaking program on the planet is to make Control V paste. What are we... Oh, it's saying that this is... It doesn't know what those are. Oh. This could go bad. The problem is it doesn't know the XML. So let's look for what a storyboard is. I added this code in and the compiler says it doesn't know what storyboard or color animation references to. Did you forget to give me a reference point for these? I'm showing some attitude here. Come on. I told you I was using Maui. So now look at this. Now it tells me, oh, these classes are part of Windows Media Animation Namespace and WPF, but not available in Maui. I told you I was using Maui up here. I said I have .NET Maui. How do I fix this? You said .NET Maui with WinUI, it's this, blah, blah, blah. One way you can fix it is this. And now you're saying, oh, sorry, Aaron, we can't do AI. Jesus, you're not helping me now. Now you're just telling me the obvious. And that Maui animation is typically done with the animation class and its method. Here's an example how you can animate. I don't want to animate. Oh, boy. You told me to use storyboard and color animation. Is there another way to fix this? Let's see. I'm now given an attitude. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing, you moron. I'm literally, that's my code. That's literally my code. It literally took my code. It literally took my freaking code. That's what I have right here. Visual state setter, background, setter, property background, value, app theme binding. That is literally my code. You stole my code and gave my code as the answer to the problem. Developers, guess what? We don't have to worry about our careers or our about the AIs taking over anytime soon, because this AI is a freaking moron. If anything, it just stole my code and said that was the answer to my problem. And now Visual Studio's color coding here is not. It takes forever to catch up. What's going on here? What do you mean? Image margin. Huh? What's its problem here? Image. It's an image. It's saying property elements can't be in the middle of a element's content. I have no idea what it's talking about there. Let's rebuild and make sure we didn't bust the world. Yeah. Ah! Look at that. Why is that happening now? Yikes. Okay, obviously something broke. Revert. What happened here? It's definitely on selection that's causing it to happen. This was not happening. Oh, right here. We have these two things. We got to get rid of these. These are probably not helping. Oops. Yeah, it's used for a very simple project. Besides that, we are good. I totally agree, though. TTTT. When you want to get simple things like I can't remember a syntax, it seems pretty great for that. When you wanted to solve like complicated problems, I've been using ChatGPT on the streams. I've been using GitHub Copilot. I tried Bing on one stream, and none of them seem to be all that helpful when you're trying to do complicated stuff. How to center a div? Yeah. How do I float? How do I stop floating two divs? Oh boy, I'm getting really. I'm old, so I remember back in the old days when you had two divs and you'd try to get them to be the same size, but then you'd have to after the div you'd have to put another fake div in to tell it to clear the state to basically get it so that everything would go back to normal on the page. Oh Jesus, floating divs was the worst before Flexbox. Flexbox, rightfully so in the world of HTML, so it's a pretty big hero. It solved a lot of problems. It used to be an interview question. How do you get like a header, 3 columns, and then a footer, and get all 3 columns to line up regardless of the content with the footer at the bottom? That used to be an interview question I used to ask years ago back in the HTML land, because that sounds like it would be easy. But back in the old days of HTML, that was really hard if you didn't know what you're doing. But yeah, this is I'm not worried about my job too much here, because so far it told me an answer that I told it I was looking for Maui, and then it gave me an answer for WPF. And then when I came back, it said, oh yeah, sorry, Maui doesn't have that yet. Wow. Copilot, you are not really helping. I think we're going to live with the cutoff right now in Windows. I was thinking of something else I could try, but I think the only other thing to do is check the issue list in Maui and see if other people are complaining about this. And there's only 3,000 open issues, so I mean, right? File menu shell. We'd have to say shell menu one UI. See if we find anything. Windows is missing when you full screen. That sucks. Edit elements doesn't work. Different behaviors. That's happening to us. I'm lucky I'm young. I'd probably get it if I had to deal with floating divs. Yes. It wasn't fun. You just kind of got used to Jake back in the old days because when you had Internet Explorer in Windows, which rendered different than everybody else. So back in the day, you had Mozilla before Firefox. We had Netscape Navigator, but that became Firefox. Actually, it was called Phoenix for a while, then became something called Firefox. I don't think people use Firefox anymore, but it's out there still. This is before Chrome, years before Chrome came around, and it was those two you'd have to code for. And the CSS in Internet Explorer was not compatible with Firefox. Internet Explorer had its own CSS, and so if you were coded for IE 6, 7, 8, or 9, it was like death. You would basically build your web app to work just in Internet Explorer because that's what most companies were running. And I worked in enterprise, so I would I had to build a couple public facing websites, and I can just remember just the worst time fighting CSS to get it to work both in Firefox and Internet Explorer. Right, it was not awesome to say the least. But we used to code like solutions for just literally Internet Explorer for a very long period of time. Now, if you were a Mac user, there was an Internet Explorer on the Mac, and it really kind of sucked, but that's what people used. I was looking here to see if there's already a known issue for this. Oh, this is very similar to what I'm seeing here. So people are complaining that, well, I fixed the icon thing. That was pretty easy to fix the colors. I mean, but this layout is a problem. And so it looks like, so when you set the shell flyout behavior to be flyout. I mean, we're just taking the default behavior which is flyout, right? Yeah, right here. So we're, that is the behavior we're taking out of the box. So that's, I mean, this person's got other problems, right, that I'm not seeing in WinUI, but I mean, we're getting some cutoff issues, kind of similar, but also different. I don't know how many people are using this in Windows, to tell you the truth. Well, I think we've done enough for Windows. Let's get this code checked in. Let's see here. It's also been streamed for 2 hours. I don't see notify on yet, though. We'll maybe go a little bit longer. Let's get the GitHub desktop and go back to Mac. Move. Add. System repository. Developer. Add repository. Oh, shoot. This is not going to work. Maybe it will. Let's see. It did work. Huh. Okay, I have GPG set up for signing. Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, for back in the old days, it was not awesome. I'm gonna close this Windows machine down. We're just gonna go back to doing it on the. Well, first, let me make sure that I can get that code on the Mac. So let's minimize that and go over to our friend Git here and Git pull. And we got it. Look at that. Right, we could close this Windows machine down then. We don't care. Shut the windows down. I don't know what's going on with that ARM machine. I'll have to take a look at it, see what happened, why it's not booting up. We'll do that. I'll do that after the stream. Let's go back to Rider though and see if we can't do a couple more things here. So let's reload Rider because I changed a bunch of stuff in the solution file. Visual Studio, and it's always a good idea to get a fresh load in, just make sure that the universe doesn't blow up. So we know why this is happening. This is happening because of multi-target, where we can't target iPhone. And I mean, so one thing I could do to fix this is to just move the code out of multi-target back into the main project, and just point the tests to the main project code for testing. I'm 95% sure that's going to fix it. Why did I pull it out into a separate project? Well, I did that in order to share it with Uno, because I want to write an Uno app also. But I'm starting to realize that Uno does multi-target different anyways, so this won't work. I tried to do this last night and get the Uno app to use the same shared library, and they just use different technology for this. So it's like a mess. So that's not going to happen. So what I think I want to do is to try this. Yep. And then we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to have to go through and fix all these. I mean, I fully know that we're going to have to do that. That's fine. Let's do this. Data. And then what we could do is we can remove this. I think I could just delete it like this. Remove the reference. That'll remove the reference. So let's not do that. It's saying that it has some refactoring problems. Let's go fix those. So let's start with this. So this would no longer be shared. It's going to be mad because this would be inventory view models. So we got to take MP shared out of all these real quick. And then we'll have to fix the namespace. Oop, cancel. We'll have to fix the namespace problem in the program file because that's going to be broken. So Maui or Rider didn't automatically, when I moved the folders, change the namespace. And the namespace, I'm going to get conflicts. It's going to be pissed if I don't have the namespace match what's in the main project. This is, I just learned this over a period of time. Don't do this. So this is going to have to be changed to this. We'll fix this after. This will have to be changed to this. We'll have to change that also. But this should get us the ability to debug on an iPhone again, which is far more important than having a multi-platform shared library. So we'll just do the homework now, get it done. It's a part that sucks, but it's a needed part to get our ability to debug on an iPhone again. And I'm going to have to come up with a different solution for sharing the code between Maui and, let's get messages fixed first. This is a simple one. I'll fix that, and then we got to fix models. There should only be one model right now, user, so we got to fix that too. Okay, that fixes that. Then we got to fix services. So we got to fix all the services have got to get fixed. And this is what I was talking about with macOS. So by doing that custom definition I did in the CS proj file, this code right here could be shared between both iOS and macOS, which is pretty nice. It's actually pretty badass. And because that code's the same. I mean, the talk to the file system, honestly, is Foundation works the same way, regardless if you're on iOS or on Mac. So that I think is very important to save myself from writing code twice. Because literally all I do is cut and paste from one to the other. That's not cool. I don't like cut and pasting. Let's go here. And we gotta fix it here. That should fix our service there. And then, why are you mad? You can't find database seed service, so IDDB seed service. And that should fix everybody. Everybody's fixed. Nope. We gotta fix the view because the view doesn't know about where the view model is. And we gotta fix that. And then our XAML's gonna be really mad because that's also referenced wrong. So we'd have to say that'll get our view model. Oop, and undo. That'll get there. Did I not fix login view model? That's working. Yeah, I'll fix that. View model. CB Lite. Inventory view model. Oh. We don't need the assembly. It's the same assembly, so we don't need to tell it the assembly because the assembly is us. So that should fix that. Assembly is a DLL, and that's when you're referencing something outside of the project you're currently in. So we're just kind of doing brain search right here. So the last thing we should have to fix is the Maui program namespace. So this would just be like this. And this would be like this. Now I can find those two classes. That should fix the creation. And then we have to fix shell because shell has a reference to those also. So we just fix it here. All this to get iPhone back. That's good. And then now we just have to get here. And we got to fix the references up here to namespace. Now we should have no more references to multiple packages or multiple projects. Yeah, this is also going to have to get fixed. And then we have to fix the references here to be messages. This will fix our test so that we can run our test. Services. There we go there. Fix it here, the same thing. We want to have tests. That fixes tests. Perfect. Now we can delete this. Yep. And then we got to go back and fix it. Next. We do have to check the CS proj file because I don't trust this. I don't, I know that sounds like it's a jerk thing to say, but I don't trust that it possibly properly removed the reference. So let's just double check here. So here's our catalyst signing. Here's our catalyst setup. Here is, you don't need to do this. Why are we manually references the database seed file? Why is it saying to manually reference the database seed file? It didn't properly add the references in for these. It should be like this. Right? What's Windows Siege servers complaining about? Oh, shoot. Now we have the problem that there's no build rule to tell it to add in those based on folder reference. Turd. All right. I'm breaking myself here. Nick uses Firefox. Man, that's a smart idea. I have it installed. I just don't use it. Not that often anymore. I mean, every once in a while, but let's see here. I got to go to the repo on GitHub. Give me a second here. Because I have the documentation of how to fix this in the repo itself. I guess I could have just opened right here. So this is what's going on. We've got to add this in. To the CS proj file. Trust me on this. Trust me, Obi-Wan, I'm your only hope. So what we have to do after property group here, we got to add in the compiler group rules that tells it how to compile files based on names. So each, what does this do? Boy, this is getting some mojo bojo BS that this is how they handle it in Maui. All right, you have a couple different ways you could do this. Either you could do it by folder. You could say, hey, if you're in a certain folder, only compile that based on the name. But we have all the platforms. We got Android, iOS, Windows, and Mac all sitting in the same project. The compiler has to know what files are for what platform. We got to make a rule on how to do that, right? So the ruling I decided was based on Microsoft's documentation and best practices. That's what you should follow, right? Template doesn't have that built in, by the way, folks. So you just have to get the docs in order to understand that. So where did I put it? Let's bring it back up so we can, oops. That's bad. Don't want to show that on stream. That's work. Did I close that by accident? No, I didn't. It's right here. All right. So what they tell you in the docs, there's two ways to do this. You could do it by file name multi-targets, or you could do it folder based. And then they give you some pros and cons to this, right? I've decided file based is easier for me to handle. And so I just copied and pasted the docs from the docs of how to do this. And then you just have to make sure anytime you have something that is designed for Windows, you name it like this, right? Anything that's made for Mac OS, you name it Mac and iOS, you name it like this. Anything for Android, you name it with .android. And then there should be two folders in here, which I don't have right now. One for iOS. And the problem is that the directory is there, but there's no files in it, so it doesn't know about it. So we have to tell it to include that directory. So now the problem, though, is that the CS proj file is somehow got two references to this file somewhere in it. So somewhere in here, we are telling it to include the file again. So let's take this folder reference out and see if that fixes it. That fixes it. Okay. Because the reference should handle it here. This should handle referencing the files and including them in here regardless. So if there's the minute there's a file in a directory that matches one of these schemas, the directory will automatically show up in the files inside of it. That's what we're telling the CS proj file to do. Boy, that seems like a lot of work. It's kind of like Gradle in Android. If you've done native Android development, you have to set some things up in Gradle. CS proj file is kind of like that. Kind of, but different. Let's see here. So let me close that out, and we still don't have that, but I think that's because the CS proj file. Oh, we still have to fix data. Duh. Let's fix data real quick here. It should just be called that, and then we should be able to do this and say, oh, we had a reference Couchbase Lite. So dependencies, manage NuGet packages, Couchbase Lite, and Couchbase Lite support. Yes, please. Thank you. Please drive through, collect $200. We'd also need to reference the community toolkit. So we also need, we need community toolkit Maui. Yep, we need this. Oh, we already have it. Okay. And that should all be done. Build. We cross our fingers that doesn't go sideways. We just basically did brain surgery the entire application. And if it builds, virtual high five. You know, this is a lot. I am shocked at X's ability to stream, by the way. Twitter, the platform now called X. Really kind of shocked at the fact you can do this. So let me do this now. I'm going to close out Rider, reopening it back up. Let's see if it's able to scan iOS. If I can get my iPhones back. So I still don't have iPhones. Let me see if I can now edit the configuration to tell it. It's still not giving me it, even though a new project did. So what we should be able to do, we should have in here, is this should be inventory, Maui. It should be set to deploy. It should know about iPhone. If I delete the test cell, close it and open it. I'm going to be really pissed if this doesn't work, because then it doesn't make any sense, because there's nothing else but this. So what's the difference? So let's open up the solution file. So if I look at this and I go back to Maui app 1, sorry, let me bring Rider over so you guys can see this. I built another project called Maui app 1. And in this one, I can see all the phones. Okay. So if we go look at the CS project file, what the hell's going on here? What are we doing different? Splash. There's nothing different here. There is a difference. There is a hidden directory in these for Rider. One sec. Idea. Now let's open this. Still no iPhone. Only one project and still does not work. I mean, obviously I have some differences in here, right? I'm bringing some NuGet packages in, and then I have the multi-platform stuff here. Let's just do this real quick. Close it out. Still no iPhones. So it's not that either. It's got to be something. So for whatever reason, I can't select, in this project only, I can't select it, even though it doesn't have build project. It should build project, use environment variables. Why is this happening? I mean, obviously, I've got to compare this solution file to the other solution file. Let's check here. Open VS Code and open up Maui 1. Just take a look at this. What do we got? We got a project with any CPU and pre-config, just some build stuff, and then nothing else. So what do I got going on here? File format 12, version 17, doesn't really matter. We get the project version. That is the minimum Visual Studio version. Do I have that over here? I don't think that makes a difference, to tell you the truth. But also, I don't have the Visual Studio version. I just have the file format version. Let's kill these two just to make sure. I'm gonna try to make this match. So this is the GUID for it. Okay, that makes sense. End project. Then I have a global. I have a pre-solution. I have debug, 2 CPUs. And I have a post selection. And I have the same GUID that should be up here that gets mapped, right? Let's take a look here. This should map it here. Okay, so this maps the CS proj. That CS proj there. This maps the namespace. So we're saying for this CS proj file right here, this is what we got. We've got, for that we have active config, build 0, active config. So we have both for release, deploy, active config, release, and then we've got the 3 for debug. So 6 in total. Actually, I don't have that over here. What am I missing over here? I have active config, debug, build. I've got 2. So debug, what do I have? I have debug, I have active config, and build. I don't have a release for debug. A deploy here. Sorry. And then for release, I have active config and build. I don't have a release. Or I don't have a deploy, excuse me. I have a build and active config. Get rid of there and there. And then I don't have any of this shit. Okay, so this is maybe what's going on here. I've got these 2 lines here. I don't know what these do. So we're going to get rid of these. That is what the current solution looks like for Maui 1. So let's reopen that back up and see if this fixes it. So it's not a solution issue. Why is Ryder doing this? So let's open up the CS proj. And all I can do now is just edit the CS project file and see if I can compare the 2 CS project files. It's got to be something, right? I mean, it's just got to be. Let's see what they have here. Now this is interesting. Oh, you can't see it. Open up the idea directory to see what the hell's in this thing. To see if I can figure out, like, where is it breaking, where it's not how the iPhones. So none of this is needed. Like this doesn't fix it. This doesn't fix it. Now the workspace is interesting. Sonar I don't care about either. But workspace, if we look here, look at all the stuff we have about the iOS simulator. This is probably what's busted me, because take a look at this. It's saying that iPhone 13 is coming from Xamarin iOS device provider. And it's saying for this app right here, Maui app 1, which is my Maui app right here. So that's probably what's causing this. Is there some kind of thing where the file that's getting generated there is not working in the other one? Now, in order to do that, I've got to get 2 copies of code open and compare these. So let's do a new window of code. Oh, tooling sucks so much. Man, when tooling doesn't work, it's the worst. You just waste a bunch of development time trying to get it to the point where you can just do your job. So let's see here. This would be, it's called this. Let's open this directory. And take a look at the idea directory. And then look at this workspace file. So what do we have here? We have a Xamarin iOS for this project file. That's right. Right. We want a Xamarin iOS for that. And we're going to okay, so that's the auto configuration. So then we have the change list. Like in this, holy shit, this is a lot. I don't have any of this stuff in this one. Or do I? I think this got generated from the solution file, okay? I think that's one of the things that's going on. This got generated from the solution file because it had those extra things in it. And I think that's what's busting this. So let's do this. Because remember, I took some stuff out of that solution file that didn't match. So let's do this. Remove-rf.idea. Okay. There should be no more idea. And for shits and giggles, let's remove-rf.vs. Now there's no Visual Studio stuff either, right? Let's let JetBrains with a clean solution file try to rebuild its directory and see if the iPhone stuff works. And it still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. Why would, but if I open Maui 1 here, watch this. There's all my iPhones. It makes no sense whatsoever. If I go to here, it just says to open Maui 1. Is it the multi-platform stuff that's causing it? The only difference between Maui 1 now and this is the CS project file. I have the multi-platform stuff, right? I'm doing the the file name based multi-platform instead of the folder based, right? So in here, in services, for example, I've got the different platforms based on this. So what I could try to do is this. How much work is this to do? I only have the database seed service, really, right? So for each one of these, I'll make a service folder. Okay. I'll have to duplicate this for iOS and Android, or for iOS and Mac. If this is really what's going on and that's the issue, another way to do this is to find out if this is the issue or not is to do this. Okay. So I got a service, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these and move them into this folder and remove the file name stuff. And instead, well, the file name stuff could stay because it should be directory based. And this should only come based on the directory. So the file name doesn't really matter anymore. So what I should be able to do, copy that to Mac Catalyst, remove it, close these two out, Android, okay, get rid of these. Go into iOS, we'll have to copy the Catalyst file. Nope, not delete, paste. Copy the whole file. Hate doing this. And then I think what I have to do, shit. These would be conflicts in names. All right. So first, let's take the CS project. Take the ruling out for names. If this is what's causing it, right? So that it can't find the iPhones because the fact that it can't figure out what project it's trying to use. We take this out. Yeah, undo. Okay. Okay. Close this out. What time is it? It's 11. All right, reopen it back up in Rider. Still no iPhones, no matter what. This makes no sense to me whatsoever. Why this project is damned to not have any simulators, yet the other project works without problems. I've literally changed everything so that they match. Where's VS Code at? And the worst part is this worked until the latest update from Ryder. I've been doing this for weeks, this stream, for over a month without problems. And then it was just right after the Ryder update, this broke. It is very similar to CocoaPods, Nick. It's very similar to that. It's very frustrating, to say the least. Because it's like, man, all I want to do is just freaking write some code and get this done, right? And this is stopping that from happening, and that is the worst. So let me take a look at the workspace to see if I can see now what the difference is between the two of these. Yeah, I still like have all this shit happening where where is it getting this from? How did wait? So okay, I see some stuff that's going on here now. Why is this? Okay, well, some things are getting. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing you this. So if you look here, what's happening is it still thinks that there's shit with MP shared here that doesn't exist anymore. That's what's going on. Like, look at all this shit that's getting generated that doesn't exist. I mean, that's the problem. So, Ryder is somehow. I've got to make sure that I don't have a reference to that old project anymore. Because it's still Ryder when it recreates the directory. I'm deleting the directory. When Ryder recreates it, it's recreating, like, assuming that that thing still exists. So what I got to do is I got to delete this directory and get it to the point where when Ryder opens, it doesn't recreate that. But the solution file doesn't have anything in it. The directory doesn't exist anymore. The only way to be have is like sure test somehow knew about it. And sure test doesn't know about it either. So there's got to be something else Ryder is keying off of. That's got to be it. But what? It's like CocoaPod Cache, man. This is like yeah, that is a lot of shit. It doesn't make any sense to me why it's doing that. So let's do this again. Okay, so this is the fourth or fifth time I've tried to regenerate this file, right? So let's go to iOS. And the same thing again. No iPhones. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code and see what it's generating automatically. There's got to be something about where it's caching it at a higher level, right? Because it doesn't exist on disk anymore. So if that's happening, then the workspace file's got to be grabbing this shit from somewhere else. Yeah, it's grabbing it from somewhere else. There's a global Ryder config somewhere else that I don't know about that it's grabbing it from. Because look at this. It has the old, doesn't have the old project in it. So it has a new project. So that's right. But look at this after path stuff. None of these files exist anymore. It's like it knows. So does it cache it somewhere else? Where else could it cache it from? My root directory. That's got to be it, right? Let's all right, let me think for a second. The fastest way to try to fix this is to remove and then we got to find a Ryder directory that maybe has this in it. But there's another way to fix this. If that was true, right? I don't see anything there. Move to, what do I call this repo in GitHub? I called it something different in GitHub. What do I call this in GitHub? This is it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move it to that directory name. Then we're going to take it and we're going to move it out of this folder. Move .NET to. So I move it out of the tutorial, out of the Couchbase folder to my main developer folder. Right, so now if there's a cache, it won't know about it because it's in a totally different folder. It's not the same thing. The files don't exist. So now what I should be able to do is go back in the JetBrains Writer, remove this because this is removed from the recent project list because it doesn't exist anymore. Open, it's going to be from a totally different location that it's never seen before. So that means it's got to rescan everything. There's no way it could say that it knows anything about this. Trust and open. That's what I like to see. I like to see it to say that it doesn't know anything about this damn thing. And let's see now if this fixes it. Please tell me. There it is. Son of a bitch. There's a cache somewhere else in Writer that is causing this. And it has something to do outside the idea directory altogether. You got to be shitting me. So now the problem is, was this multi-platform that caused it? Right? So my theory is that it was the multi-platform definition that told iPhone that it couldn't figure out like whether the project was iPhone or not. So in order to calculate that, now that we know this shit-tastic story here, we got to put it back in because this won't build. It won't build right now because of the fact that under each one of the platforms, I've got these files that are named this, and the compiler won't know that those are only for Android. So it's going to end up failing without that configuration. So we got to put the configuration back in for files. But that tells me that this is a bug in Writer. Somehow it's caching the information about the project somewhere outside of the idea directory. There's got to be another cache somewhere that it keeps track of the projects and the structure, which is BS, in my opinion. Total BS. At the biggest level of BS. Boy, that makes me irate. This is be mad, by the way. Man, talk about just a waste of time for developers. Let's go back to my repository. Oh, wait, I wasn't going there. Yeah, I was. Oh, it's getting late. All right, let's see if we can get this one last thing fixed. I think we're going to call it a night. I've been streaming long enough. We're going to grab this configuration to try to get it to build again. And the advantage to this is that this should give me the ability to go back to my ability to have one file for both iOS and Mac, which is what I really wanted. I mean, that's why I went down this road to begin with. All right, so that should tell the compiler, based on these file names, how to compile. So now what we should be able to do is in platforms, we should be able to take iOS here, this service, and get rid of this. Well, we'll keep the source folder. We may need some specific iOS. Now what should happen is this should compile for either of those. Okay. And then we just need to make a platform for that. So let's make new directory, Mac, iOS, and then services. Let's put that in there so that it doesn't get lost by accident. Move. Perfect. Okay. Clean. Unload project, reload project. Okay. Let's bring terminal up. I want to build from the command line instead than from Writer because I want to see if it kills my phones when it builds. All right, so what are we getting here? So it's saying that it can't find the reference to the services. The database seed service, right? Is that where it's saying it is? Yeah, let's see here. Inventory object Patrick. I 'Cause 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 ' I've never seen that before. So this is the real error. Yeah, so let's say my program. The compiler should know the rule that the file name should start kicking in. And it should know that that is for Mac, or let's do it clean. What, there's no clean here? Why don't they put clean on the right click menu? Why is clean only from build? Shift build works. Clean, basically, okay, so what does clean do? That's a good question. All right, in .NET, how it works is we have a cache folder where it builds to. All right, so let's take a look here. So I'm going to go into .NET inventory here. If I go into the project here, Maui, I should have two folders that we care about. There's a folder called the object folder, and then we have a folder called the bin folder. The bin folder is the actual release. And so when it builds, it's going to put the actual application in this folder. That's what it's building, okay, when it does a build. That's how it works. The objects folder is where the compiler puts all the stuff it needs to link into the project. So this is the important folder. This is the folder that all the bits get compiled out and ready for. So if we look at Android, here's all the code that it's actually compiling down for Android. For iOS, this would be all the code that it's going to compile down for iOS. And if you were to go into here, you'll find that there's a folder in here, and then this would be for whatever device you have. And these are all, you get into here, here's all the crap that it takes to make a build work, right? So here's our cloned asset. So it's converting those images I was telling you about into an asset catalog. So here it's making the app icons for me automatically. So behind the scenes, .NET's doing all this work for me. It's making info plist files. It's building up everything. And then once it has all these files built up, including you can see here like this CSS files, it's going to convert those into a DLL that it can run. So here's all the stamps of the files. These are libraries that's trying to bring in a link in with the linker, it's called. The linker kind of takes compiled code and links it into your code to try to build an executable. And these are all the different like assets that it's cache basically, okay? A clean kills all these directories because these directories, once they get built, what it does is just updates them. It doesn't constantly change them because if I had to build those every single time, it's a lot of work. So in order to make the compiler run faster, the object folder caches the build results. And Xcode does this too. Everybody does it, right? It's just Xcode does it in a different directory. But basically, it takes all the kind of compiled bits, it throws into a cache folder called object. Then what ends up happening is the next time you build, it checks what files have changed. And it only updates those in the cache and does another build then. So if you only change one file, it doesn't have to rebuild all these assets and all that stuff. It can use the existing ones. A clean forces all those to get rebuilt from scratch. And so that's why we like clean. Clean makes sure that if there's like some kind of garbage in the cache, that it gets rid of it. And so you'll see here that usually this will start running into problems like Android if you do a clean, because now the files are gone that it generated for that, right? So when you do a clean, it kind of breaks everything until you do a build again. And then the build should rebuild things. So now we're seeing here that we're getting errors about namespace. But now we're getting also Android errors that it can't find the Android manifest. Now this always is an issue with the CS project file. So it does not like the naming that I did there, right? So the thing I did with file names is not working because that's basically causing Android not to find its files. So let's take this out. There's another way to do this, and I don't want to do it this way, but I really don't have a choice. Okay. So I've got rid of all that code. So I'm going to try to fix this as quickly as possible. It's only one service I have to fix, so it's not too bad. Where did I put this? Uh-oh. Did I lose my... I lost my service files. There's Android. But my Mac OS one is gone. Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, don't tell me I lost this. Let's see if it's on the existing on disk. And the ID just killed it for some reason. The ID would kill it because of the fact that I don't have the rule to read the files in anymore. That would kill it. So let's go in. We have to make a manual reference back to these. And the files are not there anymore. Oh, God, shit. This is the worst. Where's GitHub? I know I have it open in the window somewhere here. Here we are. And I have to get these files back from GitHub real quick. And this is called database seed service dot iOS. We're just going to call it database service dot CS. And then we're going to call this Mac iOS. And foundation should yeah, that's going to be a problem, but it'll be fine. All right, so Android. Obviously, this is a problem. But Android should never been able to. This file should have never been able to be seen because the rule got taken out. This may be one of the problems that was causing it, but let's just do what I know how to make it work. Edit, rename, take the word Android out. So that's gonna be our Android version. I guess we can rename this to say so that the name matches. Shit. Edit, rename. Rename the file. All right, so that way the class name matches the file name. And here we got to make sure the same thing because otherwise the linter is going to get mad. So let's just make sure that we're good citizens. Rename and call this Mac iOS like that. And we should also get the Windows 1 working. So directory, services. And then let's add a new file called database seed service windows.cs. Yeah, that's fine. Now I need to go grab that code from GitHub. It's not a lot of code. So we're going to do some trickery with macros. Well, this doesn't need to be sealed. And this needs to be just services. And I'll fix that. All right. So let's see here. So how we're going to fix this is these are all going to be red error, and that's fine. We're in a Maui program, and we're going to say the following. If iOS. Else if, what is it? Mac Catalyst. Else if Windows, and if, I think this is wrong. We have to get the naming convention from, I think it's iOS like this. And I think it's capital Android. So then what we could do is we could put a macro in that says get Mac iOS. And then what we do here is we say if it's here, load Android. And if we do this, we load the same one. And if Windows, we load Windows. And so what will happen is we're tricking the compiler to only use these if these platforms are picked. Now, what I don't 100% remember is the macro names for each one of these. And so I have to look back and see. I have an example of this that I'm looking at on another screen here to see my example of how I've did this in the past. This is all trickery, by the way. This is how I used to do it a really long time ago. Let's go look at, can I see the history of this? I want to see the history of it, though. Let me see. Get show history. Let's make this bigger so we can see the get history of this. See if I checked it in here with the. Here it is. These are the names. So they're all uppercase. So if iOS uppercase, Mac Catalyst, Android, all uppercase. So I've done this in this like this before I refactored. So it's if iOS, else if Android, else if Mac Catalyst, else if Windows. So now the weird thing is that this should build even though you have red errors in the compiler because stupid writer doesn't know about the macros. And if this all works, this is the dark arts of if iOS, yeah. So it doesn't know the namespace name. Well, it'd be because it needs to be in inventory services. So it's saying here it can't find the namespace name for Mac OS only. And so we should be able to fix that pretty easily. That means that this file and this, it's got the wrong namespace in it. .NET library. Oh, it's right here. This is the right name, right? Copy. It should be in the namespace services here. And let's just double check this here. What did I do different? Try it again. Namespace for this could not be wrong. Android must have a return type. Oh, because I have a constructor. That fixes Android. Okay, now let's build. So we're still getting namespace could not be found. And then Android still acting like it can't see the platform folder anymore. Hmm. Why would that be happening now? Well, if I had to, I could do this. I could move these all into the service folder. Now that they have different names, it doesn't really matter. If that's causing the folder somehow break, right? The Android stuff to break. Might go back to vanilla here. This should only build if iOS or Android. If iOS, add this file. This file's in services. We reference service here, and its namespace should be set to services. Inventory services. Inventory services. Copy. Make sure that this matches. Clean. And build. See if this fixes it. Dark art of if iOS. Yeah, it is. Boy, that's really went bad on us now. Like, what? So now that they're outside in root folders, they just basically are blowing up everything. So the platforms folder is somehow hiding them. Because I no longer have the name rule in. Okay, well that's a issue right there. Okay, so that will fix that. Because if it's in the same namespace, it shouldn't have a problem finding the interface. It won't find its own libraries until you build. I had this literally working like this a couple days ago. I know it works like this because that's how I originally implemented it before I went and split it out to multi-platform code. Because I read a docs and the docs was like, this is a better way of doing it. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a better way of doing it. So here we go. We're getting further now. But I think the problem is now Catalyst isn't going to build because the file's only in iOS. And I think that there's like the configuration. I remember, so the reason why I went down this dark road was the fact that I had to make the file twice, once for iOS, one for Android, and I hated that. Yeah. And so this is what I think is happening, because even though this file's in the iOS folder, Mac Catalyst can't get to it. So the whole thing that was happening, and I got really pissed off about, is I didn't want to make this file twice, right? That just seems like it's stupid. And so what I could do is just copy it here, and then paste it here. See if that worked. Of course it doesn't, so I have to add a new class. Database seed service dot mac dot cs. And I have to go here, got the whole freaking file, go into here, paste it in the same way, but I call this Mac instead of that, so I don't have a conflict between the two names, even though these are the same. Now I have to go back here, make this iOS instead, rename the file so that the linter doesn't get pissed off. Rename, take the word Mac out. Okay, there we go. So now my program, we have to say here for Catalyst, it's just going to be called Mac. And here it's just going to be called iOS. And since we have Mac selected, let's try building. And this should fix the last of the problems. Even though you have squiggly lines in the IDE, the macro makes it work. And then hopefully I can debug on an iPhone again. A whole entire night just to get the ability to debug on an iPhone, and now it builds. And now I can do this. I can go to an iPhone mini, I can click the run button, and the app should just work. 3 hours of streaming basically to fix a bug in some kind of cache and rider, and basically change my code around in a point that I could get it to build to where it was 3 days ago. Boy, that's a big bummer. That isn't running on iPhone though. And it actually looks pretty good on iPhone, right? I mean, honestly, the one thing I'll say about Maui is that if you're building for just mobile, it's not bad. It's not bad on iPhone, and it's not bad on Android. You go to desktop, and it's a bitch. It's a bitch to get desktop looking anywhere decent. Like, so if I go to Android here, let's bring up my little Android guy here. Where's my Android? It's going to pop up over here. It actually doesn't look that bad. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's respectable. But, man, Catalyst and Windows, not great. Getting these to look anywhere decent on these. And look at, even like the jaggies don't exist here. See how that image looks really nice and crisp on Windows, and on Catalyst even, you can see like the jaggies from it. But if we look here, this is building not bad. Now, I don't like the fact that that is black there instead of white, but I can fix that after. And this is because I did that fix for Windows that turned this black instead of white. So I have to do a platform specific on it. But I mean, it's not bad. I mean, honestly, Android, the animation's pretty nice on the replace of views here. So it's, I don't think it's using a fragment for those. It might be using a full activity for those. Each one of those pages might be an activity, although that's pretty heavy. I bet you this is fragment swapping. Now I think about it, because that'd be too heavy to have activity swapping. Activities are really heavy. They're an entry point into the application, where fragment's not. That's a big difference between the two of them. Really, when it comes down to it. Respectable though. I mean, honestly, not bad for a shared code base. So I guess Maui's theory is that if you're just building mobile apps like Android and iOS, it's not bad. Now you notice I still have all the red in the IDE because the macro is what's making the build magic happen. Now, the reason why I went away from the macro was the fact that I had to have the files separately. I'd have separate files for each, for iOS and Mac, and I hated that. I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. So I was like, well, wait a minute. All I have to do then is follow these stupid things what they talk about, where I could just make the file names and it'll compile based on those. But I can't do that in the main Maui project because it already has this folder way of doing things. And so that's why I went and built a multi-platform class library. And that's what I think is whatever causing this cache issue to happen, where then it can't, with the multi-platform library, I believe Rider has a problem detecting the fact that this is an iOS application, because the multi-platform, if it doesn't read that CS proj file, right, to figure out which files are which, it's going to get confused about which platform's which. And I think it happens when I do the trick of Catalyst in iOS, where I say, make a directory where it'll build for either or of those. I think that that's what confuses the compiler. So my trick to basically get it so I only have a single file is the reason why Writer breaks. It makes it so I can't use an iPhone then. Which is stupid, because Microsoft says that this is absolutely something you could do. I mean, they literally say it in their stupid documentation. Well, it's not stupid, but their documentation. Where the hell did they go? Where is the Git? Oh, I don't know where anything is anymore. Oh, that's not it. So in summary, this all sucks. That I had to do all this work just to get back to where I was before, but I now have the ability to at least debug. So this documentation, I mean, this is Microsoft's literally documentation on this. And literally in the suggestion, they give you the option of both iOS and Catalyst right here. This is in the docs on Microsoft's website. You can't even say I'm doing like trickery here. They literally recommend this. So what do they say for folder here to get both? So they say make a folder called Mac iOS and add a target group for it. See, this is what I think would break me. But let's try this. Shits and giggles. And then I think we're going to call it a night, because I'm getting tired and it's like almost midnight here. So let's see here. We would have to do it after... We'd have to do it after platforms, but before anything else. Let's let Android do its thing first, though. Let's see, item group. So it would be here. We'd have to do it. And then what we would have to do is we would have to say, we'd have to make a new folder called Mac iOS, and then what we'd have to do is make a new file here, call this, needs to be a CS file, new class, call this database seed service Mac iOS. And then all we have to do And then what we'd have to do here is once we have this here, make sure all the file names match. That's important. Okay. Build once. Should build. It should not care, because the compiler rule should tell it only for iOS and stuff, and it's a different file. It's a different class name, so that should work. And then all I have to do is swap out in program to use that same class. So in here, in both of these, I'll swap out for, so that worked, right? So now all I have to do is say this. And then I should be able to build again. And then I can kill the Mac file and I can kill the iOS file. So that it fails. Why does it fail? If iOS. So it's saying that it can't find the database seed service. Did I name this wrong? See, that should work because it should be a folder based, but I have it in the platforms folder. Shit. I bet you that's the issue. Edit. I'm pretty sure that I say in here, just remove /platform. Now we have to reload. Because it has to read the file in order to know how to build it. Now let's try to build. I'm crossing my fingers, eyes, toes, everything that I can cross again to see whether or not this works. I still see the build output of having errors on these. But that should work. I mean, by theory, I mean, it's on the docs. And it's still saying the same thing. It's still saying it can't find it, even though the docs say that you can find it, right? So if I go back to edit, see, that's what it's saying to do, but that's not working. So let's go back to the doc. How did I put the doc? And let's go back to my repo and get the link to the doc. So this is file name. And this was folder name. Let's go back to file name and try that. See if that writer you turd. So file name is what I originally had when we were in Windows. Okay, that's what I was using over in Windows. So let's go here, edit, change it. Oh, I already have it open here. So we change it to this. Okay, now that's interesting. That almost looked the same. But this should say .Mac iOS. Okay, so then all that should happen here is in Mac iOS, it shouldn't care anymore. It should just be more of the file name. So the file name's got to have .Mac iOS like that .cs in it. And it doesn't matter what the file name is. The compiler will use that file name to only compile. It'll exclude it if this is not true. So it's going to basically say, if this is not true, then get rid of it, otherwise compile it. That's the goal of it. Build. The compiler should build this, and then when the program needs it, it should be there. Garbage. Garbage. I'm going right back to where it just doesn't work. It really kind of sucks that no matter what, if I follow Microsoft's documentation for ETH-file or other based, if I try to use this, it does not work where I could try to use one for both of them, which really stinks. If I build that multi-platform project that I did earlier, then this worked without problems. It was flying color, but then I couldn't debug on a freaking iPhone. So it's like a writer in .NET puts me between a rock and a hard place. So that really kind of sucks. That the compiler, even though I told it, And I'm cut and pasting from their freaking documentation. It's not like I'm trying to do rocket science here. It can't find it, even though I tell it to be in a folder here. And it shouldn't matter where it is at all. I'm trying to decide if I put it here. Okay. It shouldn't matter if it's in a folder anymore because it only should care about file name. But I do notice that it has 2 stars here, which means it can't be more than 2 paths deep, which I'm starting to believe maybe that's the issue. Let's try building. I don't see the error anymore. Is it because there was so many folders deep that it couldn't work? It's getting late. That was it. That was freaking it, because the example they give you assumes that the files are only ever going to be 2 folders deep. Look at the stars. Each one of those stars is a / folder. So that would say that it's only going to scan the file so many deep in the project. Womp, womp, womp. I had mine too far deep. I had mine in the project, in the platform. So I had mine in root / platform / folder of the platform / file, 3 folders deep. Oh, for shit's sakes. Now, I mean, there's no way to do that. The only way to do it is just to leave it here in the services folder and get rid of the, I don't need this one anymore, so I could delete this. It's a really jank setup, right? Because technically speaking, and I don't have Windows, but I should be able to get rid of the iOS one also. It really, I'd argue that I should just set up Android like this, right? I should just go back to where it was, where Android's in here and all of them are in one folder, because then at least I have some damn consistency, right? Because if I say, well, iOS and Mac, you have to do in here, but then these ones you have to do over here like this, it feels kind of lame. It feels extremely lame. And the fact that you have to manually tell how deep the folders are to find the files, also kind of lame. Kind of lame. But I bet you I run on an iPhone mini now. Tooling. In 3 hours and 30 minutes, what we have discovered that tooling makes all the difference in the world. And when the tooling and the platform are not aligned, it's very frustrating. Microsoft doesn't make Writer. A different company does. Xcode, you may love or hate it, the tooling's pretty good. Xcode works, honestly, way better than it ever has in the past. Android Studio is not bad. It works pretty freaking good for Android development. I've never had to fight Android Studio like this. Never had to fight Swift like this, right? I don't get in Swift or Android the ability to have 2 platforms in a single code base. That's the truth to it, right? I mean, so that's the argument, right? What I'm getting here is a savings of time, theoretically speaking, because the fact that I don't have to write code twice. Now, in my IDE, I have all this kind of shit code, right? All this, that's not really shit code. It's just macro code that IntelliSense doesn't tell me if I typed it wrong or not, because it can't tell until you build it for that platform. So that means I'm not going to get 100% code correction if I type something wrong, right? That's not a great thing. And it's telling me that there's an error in this file when there's not, right? My squiggly red line should tell me I have to fix something. And that's super frustrating because I trust that. I say, hey, that's my source of truth. If I build now, the only other thing I'm concerned about is how many warnings do I get? 0 warnings and 0 errors. So, I mean, honestly, it's a pretty clean build. I have no warnings, no errors from the compiler. So I don't like the fact that I have to have Android like this and then have iOS in a platform folder and then have iOS over here in the raw services folder. I would rather see, and I think what I'm going to do on the lunch stream tomorrow or Sunday, probably Sunday, I'll probably stream a little bit Sunday night. I'm probably going to move this stuff back down in the service folder. And I think the next thing I want to do is, I mean, all this tooling is giving me a headache. I want to get back to just building the damn app. So I think what we're going to do next is I want to get, so if we look here at the Android app, where the hell's the Android app? Where'd Android go? Android, come back, please. Please come back. We look at the original Android app I wrote a while back for Android here. I have this user profile stuff up here, and when you click this, you can update the user profile. You can select the image from your computer, if you have a photo, and it'll automatically save in here and put it in a database and stuff, right? That's the example I want to build. So I want to get this header to the point where I can build this up here, update the user profile, have the images and all this stuff update, but also update from a database. And then what I want to be able to do is do this. I want to be able to load sample data, click this button here, go to home, and have all the data just automatically load up in this app. So I have a data generator that goes through and just generates a bunch of data for me so I can just play around with the app. And then I can go through and do things like the selectors and do search and all the things I currently have built into the app I want to be able to have there. I can go edit this. I can go select a warehouse. I can just say state, CA, search, Cal. Okay, that's weird. My warehouse is not loading? I don't remember what cities our warehouse is in even. Santa Clara. SA. Okay. I just didn't have the right spelling of a oh, it's capital CA for California. Oh, you have to, that's right. You have to have a city in order to search state because the index is on city. What am I thinking here? Rookie thing here. I think there's one in, try D. I think there's one in Detroit. Is there a warehouse in Detroit? Denver and Philadelphia. No, there is a Detroit one. Okay, there is. So it looks for anything with DE, but the index, it's an example of indexing, and you have to have a city before you can have a state. You can't just search for states. I should make an index for the state so you can search by either or. I don't remember why the business rule was you had to have a city without a state. I honestly think it would be useful to search for just a state. I should make when I update this for .NET, I should really do that. But really, this app is just a demo of how to build mobile apps with databases. It's not designed to look pretty or anything like that. It looks okay. It's not great, but it's not bad. It does cards and stuff, right? But it's really how can I get data quickly to show up in the app? So that's my goal, is to next get this header working, and then we can start writing stuff to the database and get that working. So I think I'm just going to do that next. I think I'm going to be done with the with this constantly fighting the tooling and just get some damn stuff working. It's going to be a little jank. It seems like the tooling's a little jank. So it's like, yeah. All right, folks. Well, I'm going to let this image update real quick here, and then I think I'm going to call it a night. I think the Windows doesn't look great. But I think what I'm going to do is just get mobile working first and then go back and clean up Windows as best as I can as a last thing. Like, I'll do it afterward, right? I'll work on getting just iOS. And Catalyst hasn't been that bad, actually. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on Catalyst, iOS, and Android. Get those looking perfect as possible. Get those looking really nice. And then I'll try to patch Windows as best as I can and just tell people, look, Windows sucks. Or Windows, it's hard to make look good on this because, man, there's a lot of jank there. I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, we're all good to go here. Everything's good. Oh, before we go, what's the rule we do? We always check in our code. Oh, damn it. Now Fork wants to do an update. Everybody wants to do an update tonight. Let's get Fork. If you haven't used Fork before, you should try this. It's actually pretty amazing. Oh, I moved the repository. That's right. Open. Go to developer because of the cache. I moved the repository to a different name and stuff to here. So there we go. So now I can do this. Wow, that's a lot of files I changed. Jesus. Whew. So in Fork, the only problem is it doesn't work with GPG keys. So I have to go to command line in order to get a secure check-in. So .NET get commit -m update to get iOS simulators to debug again. And that should get it there. That should push the code out. And yeah, so because I work, my work stuff, it requires GPG signing. So any commit that you do has to be signed with your ID. And if a commit comes in without a key, a signature, then it won't allow the commit to go into the branch. And so, but Fork, for whatever reason, does not support that. I've tried 100 times getting it working, and I just can't get it to work. So I basically commit all the stuff with Fork, and then I go to the command line, or I stage everything up with Fork, and then I commit with the command line in order to make everything work. So that's very interesting, to say the least. What an interesting day of .NET bullshit stuff. Yeah, get the authoring stuff. Exactly, Nick. Yeah, it's you know, they don't want people to be able to hijack the repo. And so that's the reason for it, you know, and signing is a great way to do that, because that way, you know, somebody may be able to steal your password. They may be able to steal your authenticator, but if they don't got your laptop, they don't have your GPG key. So if they try to check in as your user, if they don't have your GPG key, it's not going to work. It's another layer of security, right? So if, you know, if your mobile phone gets, you know, you lose your mobile phone and somebody gets access to the GitHub mobile app, they could technically speak, and then it's log in as you, just using the GitHub mobile app. So you need that signing to guarantee that extra layer of security that, you know, you can't guarantee with just a username and password. Now, what I wanted to do is make sure I can put the test back in and have those be here without my ability to debug iPhone break, because I do need the test here. And there's a test runner. Where's my test runner? Right, your UI is all over the place. That's services, that's Azure. Where's the test runner? Where the hell is the test runner? What the hell is going on here with this latest update? Where the hell did the test runners go? Device Manager Explorer for Android. That's for build problems. And this is the regular runner, but I want the test runner. So wait a minute, 1 second here. Build. Oh, Jesus cripes. Not a test, don't build anymore. Oh, for frick's sakes. Oh. All right, I think I'm too burnt to figure out why the I guess I'm here. Let me just look into this real quick. What is it saying here? This is all there. Use Maui. Single project is true. Bring the test libraries in, and then include a reference to the project here. Here. All right, I think I know what's going on there. This would mean that the target architecture here does not match in the CS proj here. So whatever version you support, you have to support in both. So for example, this is going to match. And so 14, 13, 1, 29 and 28. So there's our first problem. Android is at here. You have to support the same version of Android because otherwise it can't work against it. 17. That should be the same. Build. Still not working. This is what's going on. This should not be in there. It shouldn't know. Tests should be built separately from your app. You shouldn't be building, like when I debug here, I should just be debugging my app. All right, so, oh, here we go. We're getting a different error now, though. All right, so that fixed that. So now we're getting bundle identifier. Ah, shit. Now it's mad because if this is an iOS app, it doesn't know how to build for iOS. All right, I'm gonna have to look at docs tomorrow. It's a Sunday issue. You're right. I'm not gonna worry about this right now. I'm gonna go to sleep because it is late. What the hell's this? Oh, clear out. All right, folks. It's been an epic stream. It's been 3 hours and 42 minutes, and all I did was run around to get tooling so I can debug on a freaking iPhone. And we fixed some Windows issue. We played around with Windows. I can't be completely negative. That was okay, I guess. I learned the Visual Studio has some things I still like about it, but for the most part, developing on Windows is just not my cup of tea anymore, and that's fine, right? We should be able to develop on whatever platform we want. So, all right, folks, it is at the end of Friday night. Thank you all for watching on Video on Demand. Nick, thanks for hanging out with me late tonight. Everybody else on the stream on Twitter. Why are there so many people on Twitter? I don't know why all you folks are watching this late at night, but thank you for watching, I guess. Tweet me. I don't know. Stay kind to each other and stuff, and I'll be back on Sunday night with another stream. And, of course, next week for the lunch stream, we'll be running all week. On Sunday, we may take a break from this .NET stuff and just go back to doing some Swift stuff, just so I can re-energize the batteries for Ignite. So I think we might go work on one of the Swift things I was working on and maybe we'll do that. Maybe the night streams will be Swift streams, and we'll keep .NET to just a lunch stream, because I think too much of any one thing is maybe not good for you. Native is, yeah, I agree, Nick. Native is really nice. It's just, I don't run into compiler problems. I can just write code all day. It's pretty nice. So, all right, folks, thanks everybody for attending. See you.